Chapter 129. Motherf asterisk Kerr, even old Sue died. A short man's expression changed when he saw Sue Hanson's extinguished soul lamp. He immediately carried the soul lamp through one dark tunnel after another until he arrived at the door of a large cave. There were 2 guards at the door. When they saw him rush over, they smiled and said, "Skinny monkey, why are you in such a rush?" "Not good, old Sue's soul lamp extinguished," Skinny Monkey said anxiously. The 2 guards glanced at each other, their expressions somewhat solemn. One of the guards said to Skinny Monkey, "Wait here, I'll go in and report to the ancestor." Skinny Monkey obediently waited where he was. A moment later, the guard came out and let Skinny Monkey in. Skinny Monkey tidied up his clothes and walked into the ancestor's cave with the soul lamp. The cave was extremely luxurious. There was a red carpet on the floor, and it was filled with good wine and delicacies. Night pearls hung from the ceiling. There was a large, soft couch at the top, and a beautiful woman wearing a red veil was lying on it. A skinny old man was lying on top of her, burying his head in the woman's neck and greedily sucking her blood. Skinny Monkey smelled the blood with spirit energy and couldn't help but gulp. He raised his head and peeked at the veiled woman. Her skin was as white as jade, and her facial features were exquisite. Her long eyelashes were like little fans, and there was a red beauty mark between her eyebrows. After the black-clothed old man sucked enough blood, he got up from the woman and looked at Skinny Monkey. His face was skinny like a dried corpse, and his eyes were sunken in. There was an indescribable ruthlessness to him, and his body gave off a thick smell of blood. This old man was called Bloodthirsty Ancestor. He was a high-level spirit master and was only 1 step away from becoming a great spirit master. He was the most terrifying existence in this mountain. He used the bewitching art and blood spirit art to create Bloodthirsty sect. He took in many disciples and taught them evil techniques. He had them go find women with spirit roots to be his blood slaves. The veiled woman pulled up her clothes and obediently knelt by the old man's feet. Her head was still on his thigh, and she looked like a cute Persian cat. The old man stroked the woman's soft hair in satisfaction. He looked up at the Skinny Monkey and asked, "What's the matter?" "Old ancestor, Sue Hanson's soul lamp has been extinguished." Skinny Monkey stepped forward and respectfully placed the soul lamp on the table in front of the old ancestor. Forefather Bloodthirsty picked up the soul lamp and glanced at it. His wizened face beamed a sinister smile as he said coldly, "Shangjing is really a place with crouching tigers and hidden dragons. 2 of my disciples died." Bloodthirsty's forefather put down the soul lamp and asked, "What did Su Junqing say?" "Ancestor, Su Junqing has sent a letter saying that a few spiritualists from the Ministry of Justice have discovered that he is collecting young girls. They have been pestering him and saying that Yun Tianwei's granddaughter, Yijioga, is always opposing him. Thus, he wants to ask Ancestor to send a few disciples with high cultivation to support him." The thin monkey-like person respectfully said, He can't even deal with a few spiritualists. Su Junqing is really trash." Bloodthirsty's forefather sneered. "Ancestor is right. However, Su Junqing is cultivating alone and can't receive guidance from Ancestor, so his cultivation is naturally lacking. Ancestor, please forgive him this time for the sake of his filial piety. After all, his status in the Su family is quite beneficial to our Bloodthirsty sect." The thin monkey-like person flattered. Although the spiritual ladies that Su Junqing sent back were all enjoyed by the forefather, the taste of the other girls was not bad. Speaking of Su Junqing's filial piety, Bloodthirsty's forefather couldn't help but look down at the veiled beauty with a satisfied expression. He then ordered, "All right, call Lu Yunfei over." "Ancestor, you want to send senior sister Lu Yunfei out?" The thin monkey-like person was shocked. Although that woman's cultivation was the same as his, an advanced spiritualist, she was not someone to be trifled with. Most of the people in Bloodthirsty sect were men, so they usually used women's blood to cultivate. Women with spiritual roots were their favorite. For a woman like Lu Yunfei to be able to gain a foothold in Bloodthirsty sect, it went without saying how powerful she was. That's right. Didn't Su Junqing want to find someone with a high cultivation? There is no one more suitable than Lu Yunfei. Bloodthirsty's forefather waved his hand and said, "Go quickly." The thin monkey-like person quickly retreated. Not long after, a girl wearing a pink dress walked in. She looked to be around 16 years old and had a cute appearance. When she smiled, there were 2 dimples on her face. When she walked, she bounced up and down like an innocent girl. "What orders does Ancestor have for Lu Yunfei?" Lu Yunfei blinked her big eyes and asked Bloodthirsty's forefather. "Su Hansen and Nanny Su's soul lamps are extinguished. Go to Shangjing and refine the people who killed them. Then, help Su Junqing finish the task I gave him. Also, bring back that girl called Yijioga. She is Yun Tianwei's granddaughter. She must taste good." Bloodthirsty's forefather revealed a gloomy expression. He couldn't help but rub the veiled woman's hair a little harder. Meow. The veiled woman suddenly let out a meow. Then, she hit Bloodthirsty's forefather unhappily and turned her head away. "Little treasure, it's my fault. I was too engrossed in my thoughts and accidentally hurt my little treasure." Bloodthirsty's forefather wasn't angry when she hit him. Instead, he smiled and coaxed the veiled woman. The veiled woman slowly turned around and rested her head on Bloodthirsty's forefather's thigh. Her watery eyes met Lu Yunfei's. Lu Yunfei looked at the red mole between the veiled woman's eyebrows. She suddenly pointed at her and said to Bloodthirsty's forefather, "Forefather, after I bring back that Yijioga, can you give her to me?" "You want her?" Bloodthirsty's forefather asked curiously. "Yes, I like her face and that red mole. I want to peel off her skin for my collection." Lu Yunfei revealed an innocent smile. "You just like to collect the skin of beauties." Bloodthirsty's forefather smiled lovingly. Then he nodded and said, "When you finish your mission and come back, I should have sucked dry her spirit blood. Then you can have her." "No, if you suck dry her spirit blood, she'll become trash. Why would I need to peel her skin?" Lu Yunfei pouted and moved her feet. She looked like she didn't want to wear anything. "I won't suck anymore. You can have it all." Bloodthirsty's forefather was very lenient to his capable subordinates. "Okay, then it's settled." Lu Yunfei bowed slightly and winked at the veiled beauty. She smiled and said, "Be good and wait for me to come back." The veiled woman didn't react from beginning to end. It was as if she didn't understand what they were saying. Her misty eyes didn't have any light at all. Lu Yunfei didn't care. She waved at the veiled woman and skipped out of the room. She looked in the direction of Thunder Country and revealed a bloodthirsty smile. She said darkly, "Yijioga, right? I want to see what you can do." Then her figure flashed and disappeared. Chapter 130. Yijioga didn't know that a perverted woman was thinking about him. By the time she returned to Purple Forest Park, it was already dawn. She slept until noon. When Mother Qing came in to serve, she couldn't help but mutter, "Miss, why do you have to go out at night to do something?" "Of course it's something important. Don't ask." Yijioga doesn't want to bring outside matters into Purple Forest Garden. Mother Qing only needs to help her manage the courtyard. Alright. Mother Qing saw that eldest young miss didn't want to talk about it, so she changed the topic and said, "Eldest young miss, Yudi and Huadai's aptitude is pretty good. This old servant intends to let them officially cultivate. What grade of bone-opening medicine do you think is better?" Bone-opening medicine was the first step of cultivation. A good bone-opening medicine could stabilize a cultivator's meridians, and in the future, cultivation would be twice the result with half the effort. However, good bone-opening medicines were not cheap. Normally, it would be good if a large family could buy a set of middle-grade medicine to nurture their own subordinates. There's no need to buy them. I'll concoct the bone-opening medicine for them. Yijioga had a pretty good impression of these two maidservants. Although she doesn't have a spiritual root, she can still be a good helper to Mother Qing if she cultivates well. After all, Mama Qing was old, and Yijioga wanted her to enjoy her old age in peace. "Then this old servant will thank you on behalf of the two young maidservants," Mother Qing said with a smile. In her heart, eldest young miss was an even better alchemist than master. To be able to have the eldest miss personally concoct the bone-opening medicine, it was truly a great fortune. "Call Huadai and Yudayan. I'll check their bones first." Yi Jioga had to examine them properly before he could concoct the bone-opening medicine. Yes, this old servant will go and call them in. Mother Qing happily went out and called Hua Dai and Yu Dai in. When the two maidservants found out that the eldest young miss was going to personally concoct the bone-opening medicine for them, their faces were filled with unconcealable excitement. Yi Jioga helped them to check and he knew what was going on. In fact, the materials needed for the bone-opening medicine were very simple. They were all medicinal herbs used to temper the muscles and bones. The difference was in the dosage and the combination of certain medicinal herbs. For example, Hua Dai had a small frame but a lot of muscles. The amount of atractylodes macrocephala needed was relatively small, and some peony skin was also needed to increase bone density. The jade butterfly was the exact opposite of the flower butterfly. It had a large frame and less muscles. He needed to increase the dosage of atractylodes macrocephala and add some green bamboo leaves to strengthen his muscles. At this moment, Yi Jioga still didn't know that the bone-opening medicine he made for Yu Dai and Hua Dai almost killed them. With an idea in her mind, she quickly wrote 2 prescriptions for Mother Qing and asked her to pick up the medicine. Mother Qing happily put away the prescription. She planned to go get the medicine later and find a good day to open Hua Dai and Yu Dai's bones. Yi Jioga was still thinking about what he had discussed with Yi Yu last night, so he quietly went to Yi Yu's courtyard. However, he found that Yi Yu was not there. Instead, Wan Xiang and Bai Songling were there. "Are you here for Yi Yu, young mistress?" Bai Songling asked. "Yeah, where did he go?" Yi Jioga asked curiously. "I don't know. We're waiting for him too." Bai Songling rolled his eyes and asked Yi Jioga with a smile, "Did you know that Yi Yu brought a treasure map to us last night?" "I know, I was the one who asked him to take it." Yi Jioga also smiled and said, "A treasure is a crime. Yi Yu and I are not people who do great things. It's best to give this treasure map to the emperor." Bai Songling didn't believe Yi Jioga's nonsense. If she was not a person who did great things, who else could do great things? Wan Xiang said seriously, "I have already handed the treasure map that I seized from the evil cultivator Su Hansen to the emperor. The emperor should be very excited." Yi Jioga said clearly. The crown prince kept the treasure map in the dragon and phoenix jade pendant. It meant that he and the empress had been hiding this matter from the emperor. Now that she exposed the matter, she believed that the crown prince and the empress must be very nervous. Yes, the emperor has ordered the Ministry of Justice to thoroughly investigate the case of the evil cultivator harming people. There will be a big reward for catching the evil cultivator. Previously, the people of the Ministry of Justice didn't support Wan Xiang to investigate the evil cultivator. They felt that it was a waste of energy. Now that the emperor had issued an imperial edict, the people of the Ministry of Justice were eager to make a contribution in front of the emperor. With a big reward, Su Junqing will definitely not dare to be arrogant this time. Yi Jioga was happy when she thought that Su Junqing was going to be in trouble. Now that Emperor Xian had personally given the order, as long as they found evidence that Su Junqing cultivated evil arts, they would destroy his reputation. "Leave Su Junqing's matter to us. The alchemy conference is going to be held in the Medicine Refinery Valley. What do you plan to do?" Bai Songling asked. "Nothing." Yi Jioga had never been interested in the competition. She preferred to quietly do research and concoct pills. "I heard that the winner of this competition will be rewarded with an alchemy furnace from the weapon refining sect. It's worth 30,000 gold coins." Bai Songling felt that it was a pity that Yi Jioga didn't participate. In order to attract more alchemists, Emperor Xianwu had always wanted to raise the standards of the Thunder Country's alchemy competition. Therefore, he put in a lot of effort this time. 30,000 gold coins? Yi Jioga's eyes lit up and said without hesitation, "Okay, I will participate." Although she hated competitions, she didn't hate receiving awards. Other than the Thunder Country's alchemists, there will be many alchemists from other places participating in the competition. When the time comes, the trade fair will be very lively. You might be able to exchange for something good. Bai Songling revealed another piece of information. He and Dongfang Ke were very concerned about this alchemy competition. They hoped to find out more about the fire dragon grass from the alchemists who came from all over the world. After all, They needed the fire dragon grass to completely eradicate the poison in Dongfang K's body. Okay, let's go take a look. Yi Jioge was very interested in the trade fair. She could sell the blue jade seaweed that she had collected at the bottom of the lake. Oh right, your father, Grandmaster Yi, is one of the judges for this alchemy competition. He has a spot that can be guaranteed to the last round. Do you want to ask him? Although Bai Songling was very confident in Yi Jioge's alchemy skills, it would save a lot of effort if he could be guaranteed a spot in the last round. There's nothing to ask. He will definitely give the spot to Yi Shanshan. This was a definite thing. Yi Jioge didn't care about that spot. As long as Yi Yuxuan didn't bother her, she would be happy. Do you want to ask the Prince of Dongling to help you get a spot? Bai Songling asked. Although it was difficult to get a spot in the alchemy competition, it wasn't impossible as long as one worked hard. There's no need to go through so much trouble. I'll just kill my way in. Yi Jioge waved her hand. If she couldn't even pass the first few rounds, how could she bring the 30,000 gold cauldron home? Chapter 131. The first few tests weren't very difficult, there shouldn't be a problem. Bai Songling told him some news about the alchemy competition. Yi Jioge remembered it very carefully. After talking about the alchemy competition, Bai Songling thought of something else. By the way, Imperial Consort, she wants to invite you to the palace in 3 days. Why does she have time to see me? Yi Jioge raised his eyebrows and asked. Ever since Emperor Xianwu welcomed Imperial Consort Shi back with a 10-mile red carpet, he spoiled her to the core and even wanted to build a new palace for her. However, Imperial Consort Shi insisted on living in Jinxiu Palace, so Emperor Xianwu had the Ministry of Works work day and night to repair Jinxiu Palace. During this period, he arranged for Imperial Consort Shi to live in the side hall of his palace. This kind of love was unprecedented. Now people in Shangjing were talking about it. Her Highness misses you very much. If it wasn't for so many things before, she would have invited you to the palace long ago. Bai Songling said. When Imperial Consort Shi first entered the palace, it was indeed very messy, but now that Jinxiu Palace had been repaired, she had time to invite Yi Jioge to the palace to talk about the old days. Thank you for your love. Is she living well in the palace? Yi Jioge asked with concern. Although everyone said that Imperial Consort Shi was the most favored in the palace, it still depended on whether the Empress was up to no tricks. Very good. Since Her Highness returned, the Emperor hasn't stepped into the Empress Fengyi Palace. Bai Songling knew that Imperial Consort Shi could hold the Emperor firmly. Her Highness is in the limelight, but didn't the Empress say anything? Yi Jioge asked strangely. This wasn't in line with that vicious woman's usual behavior. Why not? The second day after her return, the Empress poisoned her. Fortunately, she discovered it in time. Not only did the Empress's scheme fail, but she was also defeated by her. Bai Songling looked at Yi Jioge gratefully. If she hadn't discovered the effect of the poisonous earth dragon, Imperial Consort Shi probably wouldn't have escaped the Empress's hands. Oh, how did she defeat the Empress? Yi Jioge asked with interest. Ask her after you enter the palace. Bai Songling smiled mysteriously. She believed that the Empress would want to tell Yi Jioge this good news personally. All right. Yi Jioge knew that Bai Songling was tight-lipped. He would never ask about things that he didn't want to say. Wan Xiang quietly listened to their conversation. Suddenly his expression changed. He waved his hand toward the left corner and shot out a red spirit light. He shouted, "Who is it?" "I should be the one asking who you are," Yi Yu said in an annoyed tone as he revealed himself. These fellows had occupied his courtyard and even wanted to kill him. Was there any justice in this world? Where did you go? Yi Jioge saw that Yi Yu was still wearing night clothes and couldn't help but frown as he asked, "You couldn't have gone to find Su Junqing, right?" "I didn't go to the Su family. I just went to the Crown Prince's residence to see if he colluded with Su Junqing recently." Yi said. The Crown Prince rarely stayed in the Eastern Palace. He usually stayed in the Crown Prince's manor outside. "What did you discover?" Yi Jioge asked. "The Crown Prince is in charge of the alchemy competition this time. He has been very close to Yi Shanshan recently. If you participate in the alchemy competition, you have to be careful of those two. When Yi Yu came in, he heard Yi Jioga talking about the alchemy competition. Even if I don't participate in the alchemy competition, I will still be careful of those two. If the Crown Prince dared to make a move, Yi Jioga would definitely make him lose a mouthful of teeth. Yi Yu also knew Yi Jioga's ability, so he didn't say anything more. He looked at Wan Zhang and Bai Songling. Why did you come to find me? I originally wanted to ask you about the treasure map, but there's no need for that now. Yi Jioga had already told Wan Zhang what he wanted to know. He was still worried about the Ministry of Justice, so he pulled Bai Songling to leave. Before leaving, Bai Songling repeatedly reminded Yi Jioga not to forget to go to the palace to see Imperial Consort Shi. Yi Jioga said that he would definitely go to the palace on time. After Wan Zhang and Bai Songling left, Yi Yu said to Yi Jioga, according to my investigation, the alchemy competition has always been held in Shangjing. This time, it has been held in the medicine refining valley. Furthermore, the Crown Prince volunteered to do it. I always feel that it's strange. It is indeed a bit strange. Yi Jioga frowned slightly. The Crown Prince had always thought highly of himself and had never personally arranged such things. Keep an eye on the Crown Prince. If there are any abnormalities, report to me immediately. In any case, the danger of keeping an eye on the Crown Prince was much lower than that of keeping an eye on Su Junqing. All right. Yi Yu nodded. After sending Yi Jioga off, he snuck into the Crown Prince's residence. At this time, the Crown Prince was in the Fengyi Palace reporting to the Empress about the preparations for the alchemy competition. Mother, everything in the medicine refining valley has been prepared. We just need to wait for the alchemy competition to start, the Crown Prince respectfully replied. He had been busy with this matter during this period of time. He had only hurried back when he heard that Dongfang Ke, that bastard, had actually recovered from his injuries. Those court officials who had once wanted to support Dongfang Ke were beginning to stir. If it wasn't for his mother telling him that Dongfang Ke had been poisoned by the Spider King's poison and that there was no cure, he really wouldn't have been able to sit still. The Empress was wearing a long robe embroidered with phoenix feathers and sat upright on the phoenix throne. Her usually dignified and virtuous face was completely gloomy, as if she hadn't heard the Crown Prince's words. The Crown Prince stealthily glanced at the Empress. After thinking for a moment, he cautiously asked, could it be that Mother is angry on behalf of noble consort Shi? Is that slut worth this consort's anger? The Empress's thin eyebrows jumped, her killing intent overflowing. Mother is right. She's just a slut. So what if she has temporarily obtained Imperial Father's favor? As long as Mother uses a few methods, you will definitely be able to make her die without a burial. The Crown Prince tried to curry favor with the Empress. In these past years, there had been too many women who had mysteriously died in the palace. Even Dongfang Ke had not been able to escape his mother's poison. Thus, he was very confident in his mother. Unfortunately, no matter how he asked, his mother was unwilling to tell him just where she had gotten those mysterious poisons from. The Crown Prince felt that it was a bit of a pity. If he could also grasp the source of these poisons, then it would be easy to take care of those people he didn't like in the future. Shut up. The Empress suddenly slammed the table, the anger on her face deepening. The Crown Prince's words had stabbed right into her sore spot. The poisons that had once been effective were now completely ineffective in front of noble consort Shi. She had even turned the tables on them. The Empress could only hope that Su Hansen could bring her something new. She hadn't expected that idiot to be killed by the Ministry of Justice before even entering the capital. He had even exposed his identity as an evil cultivator, and even the treasure map was known to the Emperor. Mother, please calm your anger. I was wrong. Although the Crown Prince didn't know what he had said wrong, it was always right to quickly admit his mistake. The Empress's chest heaved slightly, but she quickly restrained her anger. She looked down at the Crown Prince and said, bring Su Junqing into the palace tomorrow. This consort has something to ask him. She could only rely on Su Junqing to contact the bloodthirsty sect. Chapter 132. Mother, if you have anything to say, just let me convey it. Why do you have to see that despicable person? The Crown Prince hated Su Junqing to the core. Don't make me say the same thing twice. The Empress's tone was cold and her sharp eyes were frightening. The Crown Prince's heart skipped a beat. He quickly cupped his hands and said, "I don't dare." "All right, you may leave." The Empress waved her hand impatiently. She had been hiding her relationship with the bloodthirsty sect from the Crown Prince because she didn't want him to get involved. The disciples of the bloodthirsty sect were crazy and had no bottom line. They might kill themselves one day. If she hadn't wanted to deal with Bai Linglong and her son and that bitch, imperial consort she wouldn't have done this. It was all those damn guys' fault. The Crown Prince saw the Empress's ferocious expression and didn't dare to ask more. He quickly left the palace and went to the Su family. "Welcome, Crown Prince. Please forgive me for not going out to greet you." Su Junqing bowed respectfully. The Crown Prince glanced at Su Junqing and said in a condescending manner, "You may rise." "Thank you, Crown Prince." Su Junqing straightened up. His handsome face was full of smiles. He didn't feel humiliated at all. This kid really knows how to act. The Crown Prince snorted in his heart and stepped back. He then said arrogantly, "Mother wants to see you. Tomorrow, pretend to be a little eunuch and follow me into the palace." Actually, with Su Junqing's identity, he could enter the palace openly, but the Crown Prince wanted to humiliate him this way. Which man in the world would be willing to pretend to be a eunuch? Su Junqing's eyes flashed coldly, but he quickly concealed it. He continued to ask respectfully, "May I ask why the Empress summoned me into the palace?" "Enter the palace when I tell you to. Why do you ask so many questions?" The Crown Prince narrowed his eyes. His sharp gaze was quite similar to the Empress's. "I overstepped my bounds. Please forgive me, Crown Prince." Su Junqing quickly bowed and apologized. "Okay, you prepare well. The Imperial Palace will send someone to pick you up tomorrow." The Crown Prince was too lazy to talk to Su Junqing, so he left after saying this. After Su Junqing saw the Crown Prince off, his handsome face immediately darkened. The Empress must have summoned him because of Su Hansen and the exposure of the treasure map. The situation in Shangjing had been complicated recently. The Ministry of Justice was arresting heretics everywhere. Since they couldn't catch the evil cultivator, they just randomly grabbed people to be their scapegoats, causing him to be unable to continue his business of selling virgin girls. Seeing that the delivery time was approaching, he began to worry. On the surface, he was the disciple of bloodthirsty ancestors' disciple. He was only a disciple of the bloodthirsty ancestors' disciple. Su Junqing didn't just want to cultivate. He also wanted to create a tense atmosphere in Shangjing so that Forefather Bloodthirsty would send more disciples with higher cultivation bases. This way, he could not only complete the ancestor's task, but he could also use to eliminate Wanwan Lord. He didn't know that the ancestor. If it was a useless idiot like Su Hansen, then don't blame me for using it to practice. Unless, those people of Su, his senior brothers and sisters in Kuden. Unless unless ancestor, ancestor not. Su either. The next day, the Crown Prince sent someone to pick up Su Junqing, but he didn't let him be a eunuch. The next day, the Crown Prince sent someone to pick up Su Junqing, but he didn't let him disguise himself as a eunuch. No matter how much the Crown Prince wanted to humiliate Su Junqing, he didn't dare to do so in front of the Empress. The Empress didn't sleep the entire night. Her face was gloomy as she sat on her throne like a statue. The palace maids and eunuchs of Fernyi Palace were so scared that they didn't even dare to breathe. The entire palace was as quiet as a tomb. It was only when the Crown Prince brought Su Junqing into the palace that it became lively. The Empress saw that Su Junqing's expression was much better. She found an excuse and had the Crown Prince, the palace maids and eunuchs leave, leaving only Su Junqing for questioning. The Crown Prince didn't expect that the Empress wouldn't even let him stay. Although he was unwilling, he didn't dare to disobey the Empress's orders. He could only blame this on Su Junqing. This subordinate greets the Empress. Su Junqing respectfully bowed to the Empress. At ease. The Empress raised her hand and went straight to the point. This consort needs a poison that can kill noble consort Shi and Dongfang Quebec. What does the Empress mean? Didn't Su Mommy give you a lot of poisons? Su Junqing asked curiously. Su Mommy was an expert in poisons. After following the Empress for so many years, she should have a lot of poisons in her hands. Those poisons are useless against that bitch, noble consort she, the Empress said fiercely. She had tried all the poisons in her hands in the past few days. Not to mention noble consort she couldn't even poison Zhou Mami and Hong Xiu to death. She used to control the entire harem with these poisons, and everyone's life and death was in her hands. Now that she had lost this reliance, she was extremely unwilling and urgently wanted to take it back. It seems that noble consort she had a great opportunity and found a poison-repellent treasure. Su Junqing was very confident in the poisons refined by the bloodthirsty sect. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to resolve them. It is indeed possible. In fact, the Empress also had such doubts and had already secretly sent people to investigate. However, Hong Xiu's defenses were too strict, and her people couldn't enter Splendid Palace to search at all. If only Mommy Su was here. She would definitely be able to help her investigate these matters clearly. Other than poison, the second thing the Empress wanted was a helper like Mommy Su. Thus, she said, "Have the bloodthirsty sect send another person for me." Empress, you also know that there are very few women in our sect. It's already very good to find a Mommy Su. It won't be easy to find another suitable person in a short period of time, Su Junqing said while shaking his head. He was telling the truth. The remaining women of the bloodthirsty sect were all perverts, and it was impossible for them to serve the Empress. What's so difficult about it? After a while, I'll let the Emperor select women. I can help you get any kind of woman you want. If these aren't enough, I can also send people to look for them among the people. Now that you're being watched so closely by the Emperor, I'm afraid it won't be easy for you to do anything. With my help, I guarantee that you'll get half the result with twice the effort, the Empress said hurriedly. Previously, the people of the bloodthirsty sect also wanted her to help collect girls, but she only agreed to escort them and refused to do it herself. However, she couldn't care so much now. Su Junqing was quite tempted when he heard this, but he couldn't agree on behalf of the bloodthirsty sect's ancestor. He could only say, "I'll send a messenger pigeon back to the sect to send your request. As for whether the ancestor will agree, I can't guarantee it." "No, I want you to send a message to the bloodthirsty sect's ancestor. Have him immediately send a female disciple into the palace to help me and bring a batch of useful poisons." The Empress sneered and said with a threatening tone, "Don't forget about the alchemy competition. If you can't satisfy my needs, don't blame me for turning against you." Chapter 133. Is the Empress threatening our bloodthirsty sect? Su Junqing's face darkened and his aura became sharp. "You were the ones who violated the agreement first." The Empress didn't back down. "Back then, your bloodthirsty sect promised me this land. Now that it's going to fall into Dongfang K's hands, you still have the face to say this? Let me tell you, if you can't satisfy my demands, I'll announce what you've done to the world. I'd like to see how your Su family can survive in Thunder Country." The Empress's face was ferocious and her eyes were filled with madness. "Empress, please calm down." Su Junqing cupped his hands and hid the killing intent in his eyes. "Go back and think about whether bloodthirsty sect or Su family is more important." The Empress called in a palace maid and eunuch. After Su Junqing left the palace with an old eunuch, he slowly relaxed his clenched fists. The Empress had gone crazy. She didn't consider how dangerous it would be for noble consort Shi to act now and Dongfang Ke to drag the Su family down. It seemed like she couldn't keep this chess piece anymore. She had to think of a way to get rid of the Empress and Crown Prince. Su Junqing was about to get on the Su family's carriage when he suddenly saw a luxurious carriage used by the palace stop. Then, a beautiful woman wearing a light green dress with clouds and butterflies and her hair was combed into a flying fairy bun walked out of the car. Her eyebrows were deep and her eyes were like peach blossoms. Her cherry lips curled up and revealed a bright smile. She was like a fairy that had fallen to the mortal world. The surrounding people couldn't help but be attracted to her. Even the guards at the palace gate stared blankly at her. Next to this beauty was an ant wearing a red palace dress. It was noble consort Shi's main palace maid, Aunt Hong Xiu. Su Junqing frowned. He heard from the crown prince that this Aunt Hong Xiu was an intermediate martial artist with water spirit root. She was very difficult to deal with and was one of noble consort Xi's most capable subordinates. He didn't expect her to serve that beauty so respectfully. Who was that beauty? Miss Yi, slow down. Aunt Hong Xiu's voice came from afar. Miss Yi, could it be Yi Jioga? Su Junqing couldn't help but narrow his eyes. Although he heard that Yi Jioga had recovered her appearance, he didn't think that she would be any better. He didn't expect her to be so beautiful. Bloodthirsty's forefather loved this face the most. If he could help the old ancestor bring the person back, not only would he be able to get rid of a huge threat, but he would also be rewarded by the old ancestor. It was really killing two birds with one stone. Su Junqing thought as he moved towards Yi Jioga. Miss Yi, there is a fly flying towards you. Aunt Hong Xiu said sarcastically. Yi Jioga raised his head in surprise and saw a handsome young man wearing a white robe embroidered with gold edges walking towards him with a warm and friendly smile on his face. Yi Jioga couldn't help but frown. He didn't expect to meet a disgusting fellow like Su Junqing here. She didn't want to talk to Su Junqing, so she walked towards the palace gate without looking sideways. She didn't expect Su Junqing to block her path. He smiled and said, "Little Sister Jioga, how come you have time to enter the palace today?" When Yi Jioga heard this form of address, his scalp went numb and he almost vomited. Su Junqing, do we know each other very well? Yi Jioga looked at him with disdain. The only thing missing was the words, "You're so disgusting," written on his face. Little Sister Jioga, are you still blaming my grandfather for being reckless? Actually, it was my aunt and cousin who didn't know any better and instigated my grandfather to go to the Yi clan. I apologize on their behalf. I hope little Sister Jioga can forgive them. Su Junqing's voice was soft and his handsome face was full of sincerity. His eyes that were looking straight at Yi Jioga suddenly flashed with a strange red light. Yi Jioga suddenly felt a bit dizzy. She suddenly felt that she was making a big fuss over nothing. The ones who had enmity with her were old ancestors Su and Su Yufeng, not Su Junqing. How could she casually blame him? Little Sister Jioga, you look so beautiful dressed like this. You're like a fairy descending to the mortal world. Let's get closer in the future, okay? Su Junqing's voice was so soft that it seemed like water was about to drip out. Okay. Yi Jioga replied in a daze. Su Junqing still wanted to say something, but Aunt Hong Xiu had already noticed that something was wrong. She hurriedly said to Yi Jioga, "Eldest Miss, noble consort, she is still waiting for you. You must not miss the time to enter the palace." That's right. Yi Jioga finally sobered up a bit. Since that's the case, then little Sister Jioga should enter the palace first. We'll talk when we have time. Su Junqing felt that it was a bit of a pity. If they met somewhere else, he could spend more time consolidating the effects of the bewitching technique. Yi Jioga reluctantly smiled at Su Junqing before walking into the palace with Aunt Hong Xiu. Eldest Miss, when did you become so good with young Master Su? Aunt Hong Xiu pulled Yi Jioga to a corner and asked as soon as they entered the palace. No, I just feel that he's not bad. He's not the same type of person as Su Yufeng. I misunderstood him in the past. Yi Jioga said disapprovingly. His surname is Su. How could he not be the same type of person as Su Yufeng? Didn't you hate him before? Why did you suddenly change? It can't be that you saw that he was handsome and you were smitten. Aunt Hong Xiu could understand the feelings of young girls who loved handsome men, but the cute Su Junqing absolutely could not. What are you thinking? If I'm a man who loves handsome men, then I should love Zishang. Thinking of this, Yi Jioga also felt that something was wrong. Su Junqing, this pervert, kidnapped Yu Rui, betrayed Yi Yunji, and even used the blood of virgins to practice. How could he think that he was not bad? Idiot, you've fallen for his bewitching technique. Zishang's cold voice sounded. How is that possible? Yi Jioga really didn't feel anything at all. This kid is talented in the bewitching technique. He's already at the second stage. It's normal for you to fall for it when you're caught off guard. Zishang said lightly. Then why didn't you warn me? Did you live in my body for nothing? Do you want to blame others for your own stupidity? Zishang deliberately didn't warn him. If she didn't let this idiot fall for it once, she wouldn't know she was wrong. Yi Jioga was in the wrong and didn't dare to argue with Zi Shang anymore. She took out the pill bottle and swallowed 2 clear heart pills. "Eldest miss, what are you doing?" Aunt Hong Xiu looked at Yi Jioga strangely. "What's wrong with taking pills at the slightest disagreement? Don't talk. Hurry up and eat too." Yi Jioga also poured 2 clear heart pills into Aunt Hong Xiu's mouth. Then he said in a low voice, "That Su Junqing just used an evil technique on me. That's why I suddenly felt that he's not bad. Fortunately, Aunt reminded me in time. Otherwise, I would have fallen for it." Chapter 134. "I see. Eldest miss, you have to be more careful in the future." Aunt Hong Xiu was terrified when she thought of the little girls in the capital who would die for Su Junqing. She didn't want Yi Jioga to become one of them. "It's fine. I'll just take the medicine in advance when I see him in the future." Yi Jioga shook the jade bottle in his hand. As a spirit alchemist, he had a lot of pills. "That's good." Aunt Hong Xiu was very confident in Yi Jioga's alchemy skills. "Let's go. Don't let Her Highness wait for too long." When Yi Jioga and Aunt Hong Xiu arrived at Splendid Palace, she thought they had come to the wrong place. The last time she entered the palace, Splendid Palace still looked old and defeated. Now it was magnificent. Beautiful flowers were placed on both sides of the road. There was even a peach blossom forest that wasn't there before. As expected of the 6 palaces, Nanny Zhou was waiting at the door. When she saw Yi Jioga from afar, she greeted him with a smile. "Eldest miss, you're finally here. Her Highness was talking about you." "Nanny Zhou, long time no see." Yi Jioga smiled at Nanny Zhou and walked into the gorgeous Splendid Palace with her. Imperial consort, she was wearing a rust-red bright gold crab claw chrysanthemum palace dress. In the middle of her high bun was a phoenix spreading its wings. It was inlaid with jade and 7 jewels. On the side was a golden phoenix holding a pearl and a golden wing hairpin. She was peerless and dignified, showing the majesty of a beloved consort. "Jioga's here." Imperial consort, she smiled and stood up. She personally came over to hold Yi Jioga's hand. Her sharp aura had completely disappeared. She was as intimate as when they were in the Dongling Wangfu. "Her Highness, eldest miss also brought you a gift." Aunt Hong Xiu put the mahogany box she had been holding on the table. "Why did you bring something when you came? Aren't you alienating me?" Imperial consort, she was annoyed. "It's not anything expensive. It's just some henna and fragrance powder I made myself." Yi Jioga opened the mahogany box and took out the white porcelain bowl inside. "Jioga really understands me. I don't dare to use the things in the palace. I was just worrying about where to buy them." Imperial consort, she said in surprise. "Her Highness, see if you like it." Yi Jioga opened all the bottles. Noble consort, she's skin was very white, and 2 bright colors would make her look vulgar. Therefore, she made a set of all kinds of fresh and natural colors, from light to dark, and let noble consort she choose freely. "First miss is really considerate. I have never seen such a beautiful nail flower." Nanny Zhou praised sincerely. "It is indeed beautiful. I like it very much." After looking at them one by one, noble consort, she chose the lightest pink and couldn't wait to let Nanny Zhou dye it for her. This color really complemented her fingers, making them look even more white and tender. "All right, Your Highness, I heard from Big Brother that you were poisoned by the Empress as soon as you returned to the palace. May I know what happened?" "Not only did I humiliate that evil woman, but I also cut off her arm." Imperial consort, she proudly recounted what happened. It turned out that on the 2nd day after she returned to the palace, the emperor held a banquet in the inner palace to welcome her. She had been eating well before, but she suddenly felt nauseous and wanted to vomit. After careful investigation, she found that there was something wrong with the wine. Speaking of this, Imperial consort, she suddenly revealed a mysterious smile and asked Yi Jioga, "Do you know what I did with the poisoned wine in the end?" Yi Jioga thought for a moment and guessed, "You poured the poisoned wine away?" "No, guess again." Imperial consort, she shook her head. Yi Jioga guessed a few times but didn't get it right, so he said helplessly, "Your Highness, don't keep me in suspense." Only then did Imperial Consort Shi slowly say, I gave the poisoned wine to someone else to drink. Gave it to someone else? Yi Jioga froze and looked at Nanny Zhou. Was she asking her to block the bar? Speaking of which, the situation that day really scared this old servant to death. Nanny Zhou sighed and looked at Imperial Consort Shi. Your Highness, you are too bold. You actually gave the poisoned wine to the Emperor to drink. What? Gave the Emperor the poisoned wine to drink? Yi Jioga looked at Imperial Consort Shi in shock. For a moment, he wondered if Imperial Consort Shi was crazy. I'm not crazy. Imperial Consort Shi smiled and said, I wasn't the one who poisoned him. If anything happens to the Emperor, it's naturally the one who poisoned him. When the palace maid who poisoned him saw that Imperial Consort Shi actually gave the poisoned wine to the Emperor to drink, she was so scared that she immediately broke the wine pot. Imperial Consort Shi provoked a few words from the side, and the Emperor angrily interrogated all the people in charge of the banquet. Although those people didn't expose the Empress, the head eunuch who had been in charge of the imperial kitchen for many years was beheaded. Imperial Consort Shi took the opportunity to place her own people there. The Empress suffered a big loss, but she couldn't say anything. She almost died of anger. Your Highness is amazing, Yi Jioga said with admiration. When this woman became ruthless, she was really willing to do anything. Speaking of which, it's all thanks to the poison testing pill you gave me. Otherwise, let alone the Empress, I'm afraid I wouldn't even be able to keep my life. Imperial Consort Shi looked at Yi Jioga gratefully. Yes, this servant and Nanny Zhou also escaped the Empress's evil hands thanks to eldest Mississippi. The reason why Aunt Hong Xiu was so respectful to Yi Jioga was because of this. It's okay. If you guys eat well, I'll go back and ask Brother Bai to send a few more bottles. You can give it to whoever you want, but you must watch them eat it. Don't let this pill fall into the Empress's hands. Otherwise, it will be troublesome. Yi Jioga said cautiously. Those poison testing pills contained live poisonous earthworms. As long as you pinched it, you would know the truth. Don't worry, other than Nanny Zhou and Hong Xiu, I won't give it to anyone else. Imperial Consort Shi smiled faintly. This poison testing pill was her life-saving item. Only Nanny Zhou and Aunt Hong Xiu, who had followed her for most of her life, were qualified to use it. Your Highness, when we entered the palace, we met Su Junqing at the entrance. Why did he enter the palace? Yi Jioga asked again. It's because that evil woman, the Empress, called him in. She probably wants to find him to harm us. With the poison testing pill, Imperial Consort Shi didn't put the Empress in her eyes anymore. Your Highness, it's better to be careful. That Su Junqing's evil arts are quite powerful. Even I almost fell for it just now. Yi Jioga said solemnly. When you see him in the future, you must take the clear heart pill in advance. Don't worry, Su Junqing won't be able to jump around for long. The Emperor is very concerned about the evil cultivator. In addition to letting the Ministry of Justice handle it, he has also sent many secret guards to investigate. Su Junqing will reveal himself sooner or later. Also, I mentioned the Empress and the Crown Prince in front of the Emperor once, and he became suspicious of them. Imperial Consort Shi smiled. She couldn't wait for the Empress and Su Junqing to get closer. When Su Junqing's identity as an evil cultivator was exposed, the Empress and the Crown Prince would die without a burial place. Chapter 135. Your Highness, it's better to be safe. Yi Jioga was worried that Imperial Consort Shi was eager to take revenge. If Emperor Xian noticed something, it would not be worth it. Don't worry, I know what to do. Noble Consort Shi wasn't in a hurry to take revenge at all because she was enjoying the fact that the Empress didn't like her but couldn't get rid of her. Yi Jioga chatted with Noble Consort Shi for a while, and seeing that it was getting late, he excused himself with the excuse of preparing for the alchemy competition. Although Noble Consort Shi was reluctant, she didn't want to delay Yi Jioga's business, so she asked Aunt Hong Xiu to send Yi Jioga back. Not only did he give her a cart full of good stuff, he even gave her a place in the alchemy competition. Yi Jioga toyed with the red token that represented his advancement as he walked toward Purple Forest Park. Although she couldn't use this token, she still appreciated Noble Consort Shi's good intentions. Young miss, Master invites you to the study. Pine Cypress stood at the entrance of Purple Forest Park. It looked like he had been waiting for a long time. Father, why are you looking for me? Yi Jioga hadn't seen Yi Yuxuan in a while. Master said he has something important to discuss with you, but I don't know the specifics. Songbai replied respectfully. Got it? I'll be there in a bit. Yi Jioga waved his hand. Yes. Pine Cypress bowed and left. Just as Yi Jioga entered the house, Mother Qing welcomed her and said, Eldest Miss, Master wants to talk to you about the alchemy competition. During this time, Mother Qing had bribed an informant in the main courtyard, so she was much more well-informed than before. Alchemy competition? Yi Jioga raised her eyebrows. She couldn't understand why Yi Yuxuan would ask her about this. By the way, first miss, I heard that second miss is determined to win this alchemy competition. During this time, she and the Crown Prince are very close. The Crown Prince also sent a lot of alchemy materials. These were the news that Pearl inquired. The Crown Prince sure knows how to win people over. Yi Jioga couldn't help but laugh. Win over my ass. Fortunately, the young miss woke up early and broke off the engagement with this scumbag. Mother Qing said disdainfully. When Su Yufeng was chased to the ancestral temple, Yi Shanshan was grounded. The Crown Prince sent a palace maid over to take a look, but there was no further news. Now that the alchemy competition was going to be held, the Crown Prince found that Yi Shanshan was worth a lot of money, so he became more active. This kind of two-faced man was really a scumbag. Yi Jioga nodded in agreement. Madame Qing helped Yi Jioga tidy up her appearance and said, Eldest Miss, you should go quickly so that Master won't get angry again. Yi Jioga brought Pearl to the main courtyard, then entered the study room alone to see Yuxuan. Where did you go today? Why are you back so late? Yi Yuxuan said unhappily. Noble consort, she summoned me to the palace, so I came back late. Yi Jioga replied indifferently. Noble consort, she summoned you to the palace. How come I didn't know about this? Yi Yuxuan was shocked and angry at the same time. You didn't even tell me about such a big thing. Do you still have me as your father in your eyes? Of course not. Ever since Yi Yuxuan had tacitly agreed to let old master Su make a move on her, she had hated Yi Yuxuan, this hypocritical fellow. If it wasn't for the fact that the title of patricide wasn't pleasant to hear, she really wanted to get rid of this scumbag of a father. Yi Jioga suppressed her anger and coldly said to Yi Yuxuan, If you're looking for me to talk about this, then there's no need. With that, she stood up and was about to leave. Wait a minute. Yi Yuxuan shouted at Yi Jioga and quickly said, This pill refining competition will be held in the Medicine Refining Valley. You three sisters must help each other when you go out. You are the eldest sister, so you must take good care of your two younger sisters. I will naturally take care of fourth sister, but second sister, you should find someone else. Asking her to take care of Yi Shanshan, what kind of joke was this? It was already kind enough that she didn't find a ditch to drown Yi Shanshan. What kind of attitude is this? Yi Yuxuan slammed the table and scolded, I know you are unhappy because of the Su family, but when you go out, you sisters represent the Yi family's face. I don't care what conflicts you have at home, but when you go out, you must unite and help each other. Puchi. Yi Jioga suddenly laughed. What are you laughing at? Yi Yuxuan asked angrily. So father also knows that when we go out, we represent the Yi family's face. I thought that we represent the Su family's face. Yi Jioga laughed. What nonsense are you talking about? The Su family is the Su family, and the Yi family is the Yi family. How can you talk about them together? Yi Yuxuan said with a black face. Father says one thing, but he does another. At that time, old man Su brought the Su family's guards and aggressively shouted at her to kill. He wanted to kneel down and slap her. Yi Yuxuan just watched from the side, as if he respected old man Su. Now, he still had the face to tell her that the Su family was the Su family, and the Yi family was the Yi family. This face was really disgusting. Yi Yuxuan's face couldn't hold it anymore, and said angrily, Old man Su is your elder. He's already so old, so what if you let him have a little? Let him beat me to death? Yi Jioga's tone was as cold as ice. He's just saying it, he won't really make a move. On the other hand, you're so young, but your temper is so fierce. You actually killed all the Su family's guards in one move, angering old man Su so much that he fainted when he got back. He still hasn't woken up yet. If I didn't speak up for you, the Su family would have taken him to the Ministry of Justice. As Yi Yuxuan finished speaking, he became more and more confident. He looked as if the reason why you can sit here and talk to me is because I'm protecting you. Is that so? If you have the ability, then let the Su family come and take me to the Ministry of Justice. I want to see who will be punished. Yi Jioga sneered. Did he think that she was scared? So what if she killed the Su family's guards? Who told them to come to the Yi family to commit murder? No matter what, she was the one in the right. All right, I've only said a few words, and you're acting like you're in deep hatred again. Yi Yuxuan looked at Yi Jioga's face and said impatiently. Although this face was similar to Yun Jiaojiao's, her personality was the complete opposite. Yun Jiaojiao had a gentle personality and was obedient to him. She never disobeyed his wishes. Yi Jioga's personality was unyielding, like a raging fire. She could jump out with 10 sentences when he said one sentence. Every sentence was like a spark that could burn a scar on a person's body. Father, if there's nothing else, I'll go back first. Yi Jioga didn't want to listen to Yi Yuxuan's nonsense anymore. What about the alchemy competition? Yi Yuxuan asked, unwilling to give up. Father, don't worry. I'll definitely take good care of second sister. A trace of killing intent flashed across Yi Jioga's face. Yi Yuxuan cried and begged her to take care of Yi Shanshan. If she didn't agree, wouldn't he be very disappointed? Chapter 136. Yi Jioga, I'll say it again. No matter how you fight at home, you're all surnamed Yi. Go out and give me... Before Yi Yuxuan could finish speaking, Yi Jioga had already left. He was so angry that he threw the teacup on the table to the ground. This rebellious girl really angered him to death. Yi Yuxuan took a few heavy breaths before he went to the ink garden. When Su Yufeng saw Yi Yuxuan, she immediately asked, Master, what did Jioga say? What else can I say? Of course I don't want to, Yi Yuxuan said snappily. He knew that with Yi Jioga's bad temper, he wouldn't agree. However, Su Yufeng did not believe him and insisted that he give it a try. Jioga, that child, why doesn't she know that lips and teeth depend on each other? Which family doesn't have conflicts with each other? But when you go out, others will think that you are a family. If a family doesn't help each other, how can others look up to you? Su Yufeng said resentfully. Ever since Gong Shifan stood up for Yi Jioga, she had always wanted to rope in the Gong family. But by the time she inquired about Gong Shifan's address, he had already left. She heard that the Gong family would be sending people over for the alchemy competition, so she wanted Yi Jioga to bring her daughter to visit the Gong family. With his daughter's character, appearance, and aptitude, she would definitely impress the Gong family. Alright, what's the use of saying this now? You should keep Shan away from that rebellious girl, so as not to be harmed by her. Yi Yuxuan thought of Yi Jioga's gaze just now and felt a bit stifled in his heart. Yes. Su Yufeng nodded her head perfunctorily. Since Yi Jioga's path wasn't going to work, she could only start with Yi Rui. It seemed that he would have to let Shanshan visit Yao Guang Garden some other day and properly rope in Yi Rui, that little maid. At this time, Yi Jioga was talking to Yi Rui about the pill refining competition. This time, when we go to the alchemy competition together, Yi Shanshan will definitely try to rope you in. This mother and daughter pair are extremely thick-skinned, you have to be careful. To be honest, Yi Jioga admired Su Yufeng and her daughter. There were such strange people in this world. I stabbed you a few times but you didn't die, yet you still have the cheek to say that I spared your life on purpose. You should be grateful that you didn't die. I don't want to talk to her. Yi Rui pulled a long face and her eyes were filled with hatred. Rui, she is your second sister after all. If you don't give her face in front of outsiders, I'm afraid that others will say that you are wrong. Fifth Yinyang knew that gossip was a fearful thing. I don't care what others say. Yi Rui's face was taut with anger. She would rather be criticized to death than be close to Yi Shanshan. Don't be afraid, I'm here. No matter who he was in front of, Yi Jioga didn't plan to give Yi Shanshan face. Yi Rui nodded her head vigorously. She knew that big sister would definitely stand on her side. Yi Jioga then tested Yi Rui's homework. Seeing that her knowledge of alchemy was very solid, he felt relieved and returned to Purple Forest Park. Eldest miss, what did master say to you? Mother Qing brought a cup of hot tea over. She was most worried that master would get angry at eldest miss again. Nothing much, just a bunch of nonsense. After Yi Jioga sat down, he slowly drank a mouthful of tea and asked, I heard that you brought Hua Dai and Yu Dai to open their bones. Did it go smoothly? It went very smoothly. Hua Dai and Yu Dai both have grade 7 spirit bones. The bone-opening medicine that eldest miss gave us is indeed powerful. Mother Qing said excitedly. One must know that bone roots were also divided into high, middle, and low grades. Grade 9 to grade 7 was high grade, grade 6 to grade 4 was intermediate grade, and grade 3 to grade 1 was low grade. With Hua Dai and Yu Dai's aptitude, if they were to use normal bone-opening medicine, they would at most be intermediate grade. Not bad, a grade 7 spirit bones cultivation speed is very fast. If they encounter some great opportunity, they might even be able to improve further. When Yi Jioga touched the bones, he already knew the result. Eldest miss can just bring them to participate in the alchemy competition. Although the two servant girls' bone roots were not bad, they were not spirit practitioners after all, so they couldn't reach the style that she wanted. Sigh. If the old master was still here, he would definitely be able to find servant girls with spirit roots to serve eldest Mississippi. Hua Dai and Yu Dai are already very good. Yi Jioga didn't think that having spiritualists as maids would make them superior. After she put down the teacup, she walked towards the alchemy room, preparing to refine some higher-grade tranquil heart pills, lest she fell into Su Juanqing's trap again. Your ordinary clear heart pills are useless against Su Juanqing's bewitching art. The purple deceased sword gradually revealed itself. It wrapped its tail tightly around Yi Jioga and said coldly, Today, Su Juanqing made a move at the last minute to awaken you. If he had made his move after making his move, it would not have been so easy for you to escape. Then what pill is useful? Yi Jioga frowned. If she had known that Su Juanqing would become so powerful after eating Su Hansen, she definitely would not have let Wan Xiang and Yu find trouble with Su Hansen. At least a third-stage clear heart pill, Zishang said. Only a level 3 alchemist can refine it. I'm only at level 2 right now. There's still a long way to go before I reach level 3. Yi Jioga frowned. It had been less than a year since her meridians were restored, and it was already not bad for her to be promoted to a Tier 2 pill master. If he wanted to advance to rank 3, he still needed to accumulate a certain amount of energy. But now that Su Juanqing was eyeing her covetously, he could not wait for her to advance. You don't need a level 3 pill master to refine it. Zishang said as he sniffed Yi Jioga's hair. How do I refine it? Yi Jioga was tickled by the hot breath that Zishang breathed out and could not help but turn her head. Ever since she was punished by Zishang for her smelly head, she washed her hair every day. She even specially used purple smoke flower to refine the honey horn to ensure that the fragrance would last forever. If you beg this sovereign will be merciful and tell you. Zishang looked dignified on the surface, but unfortunately, the tip of his coquettish tail was slowly moving up Yi Jioga's thigh. Yi Jioga gritted her teeth and pressed down on the tip of his coquettish tail. Then, she revealed a pitiful expression and used her most artificial voice to say, Great King Zishang, please tell baby. Good baby. Zishang rubbed Yi Jioga's dog head in satisfaction and said mercifully, If I use spiritual fire to burn your small broken cauldron, I will be able to refine a third-stage pill. The spiritual fire that you are talking about, are you referring to the flames that are formed from the spiritual energy of heaven and earth? Yi Jioga blinked her watery eyes and asked. That's right. Zishang stretched out his hand to play with Yi Jioga's earlobe. Yi Jioga did not move and asked again. The red lotus lightning fire that I transformed from the sacred wood tree core was also spiritual fire, right? Of course, but this sovereign does not know where the red lotus lightning fire is. If he knew, he would have long gone to collect it for fun. Then what's the point of saying so much? Yi Jioga immediately turned hostile and slapped Zishang's hand away. Spiritual fire is so hard to find. She might as well cultivate and advance as soon as possible. Chapter 137. Little Dummy, although I can't find the Red Lotus Thunder Fire, there are a lot of other little spiritual fires. Zishang revealed a devilish smile. He pinched Yijioga's cheeks and gently pulled them apart. Then he lifted them up as if he was kneading dough. Yijioga was angry, but she didn't dare to say anything. In order to get the spiritual fire, she put down her pride and shouted flatteringly, "Zishang, great king, please take me to find the spiritual fire." Compared to the spiritual fire, dignity was nothing. It would not be a problem to call him daddy, much less king. Good boy. Zishang rubbed Yijioga's head in satisfaction. Then he waved at the fat black rat that was curled up in a corner. Pippi! The fat black rat immediately scurried over and placed its paws on its chest, looking at Zishang with a fawning expression. He didn't know how Zishang and the fat black rat communicated. The fat black rat's furry face was full of seriousness. Finally, it raised its right paw, nodded and shouted, "Pippi! What are you guys being naughty about?" Yijioga couldn't help but ask. "Follow it, it will bring you to find the spiritual fire." After Zishang said this, he returned to Yijioga's imprint. "Black fatty, where's the spiritual fire?" Yijioga looked at the fat black rat with a burning gaze. "Pippi!" The fat black rat waved its fat paw and turned into a stream of light as it ran outside. Yijioga followed the fat black rat out of Shangjing and ran all the way to a deep forest 300 miles away. She almost died of exhaustion. "Fatty Black, are you sure there really is a heaven-earth spirit flame in this damn place?" Yijioga wiped the sweat off his forehead as he looked at the desolate valley in front of him. As long as it was a place where the fire seed was born, it would definitely be a place with abundant spiritual energy. But on this lousy mountain, overgrown trees and vines were everywhere. Rotten leaves covered the entire valley, and the air was damp with the smell of decay. If she hadn't taken the antidote pill, she would have fainted after a few steps. "Pippi!" The fat black rat nodded. Its small black eyes looked around, and its big ears swayed. Then, it scurried towards the west. Yijioga's eyes lit up and he immediately followed. The fat black rat's body was like lightning as it dashed towards the depths of the valley. Yijioga followed behind it, stepping on the muddy ground and rushing to the bottom of the cliff. Soon he saw a dark pool. It covered an area of about 1 mu, which was smaller than the pond in the demonic beast forest, but it was still bottomless. Yijioga felt his scalp go numb when he saw the black color in the depths of the pool. The fat black rat jumped into the pool gracefully. Then, it stuck out its fat belly and flopped comfortably in the water. "Don't tell me you came here to take a bath." Yijioga threw a weed stuck to his hair at the fat black rat. "Pai Pai Chan." The fat black rat retorted in dissatisfaction. Then, it stuck out its fat butt and dived into the pool. "Hey, wait, give me a blue stone first." Yijioga patted the surface of the water to call the fat black rat. Although she knew how to hold her breath, if the water was as deep as the last time, she would suffocate to death without the blue stone. Unfortunately, the fat black rat did not respond. It was as if it had already run far away. Yijioga frowned as he looked at the dark pool. He silently pondered whether he should go down to investigate the situation or wait here for the fat black rat to return. "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and catch up." Zishang's voice fell. Yijioga's butt hurt. Her body involuntarily fell into the pool and she almost choked to death. She awkwardly floated to the surface. Wiping the water droplets off her face, she scolded the mark on her hand. "Are you crazy?" He actually dared to kick her into the water. "I did it for your own good." Zishang's voice was lazy, without a hint of remorse. "Thank you, but I don't need it. You can keep it for yourself." Yijioga spat at the mark and swam towards the shore. "Treasures don't wait for people. If you don't follow me, forget about the spiritual fire, even that fat black rat will run away." Zishang said coldly. "If it runs, then it runs. Who cares?" Although Yijioga said that, she was still reluctant to let go of the fat black rat that she could refine into Dan poison. After thinking for a while, she held her breath and dived towards the bottom of the pool. As she dived, she found that this pool was even colder than the lake in the demonic beast forest. The strangest thing was that there were no fish swimming in this pool. Logically speaking, there should be a lot of fish living in this deep mountain pool where no one hunted. Unless something had eaten all the creatures in the pool. Her heart skipped a beat. She felt uneasy for some reason. The air in her lungs was getting thinner and thinner. If she dived any further, it would be very dangerous. Although the spiritual fire was important, her life was even more important. Yijioga decisively turned around and wanted to return to the shore. At this moment, a dangerous aura suddenly came from the dark depths of the pool. The water flowed quickly, as if something was quickly approaching her. In the next moment, an ugly and bumpy face with sharp teeth appeared in front of her. It was actually a second-rank demonic beast, the iron-skin crocodile. This type of crocodile was extremely savage. There would be no living creatures in the waters where it was. The iron skin on its body was indestructible. Its hard and sharp teeth could bite through rocks. It could be said to be the overlord of the water. Yijioga was a dragon on the shore but a worm underwater. There was no way she could fight against this iron-skin crocodile. However, in this situation she couldn't run away. She could only face it head-on. Yijioga took out the Thunder Snake illusionary whip from her waist and infused it with spiritual energy to whip the crocodile. Although the Thunder Snake illusionary whip turned into purple lightning in the water, it still accurately landed on the iron-skin crocodile. The iron-skin crocodile trembled in pain. Its eyes revealed a fierce glint. It swung its thick tail and pounced towards Yijioga like an arrow. Yijioga whipped the iron-skin crocodile's bloody mouth again. Using the rebound force, she slid backwards and dodged this attack. The black-skin crocodile felt pain after being hit by the Thunder Snake illusionary whip. It became even more berserk. It opened its mouth and spat out a water column. Yijioga felt a dull pain in her chest from the waves. She lost her balance and knew that she couldn't continue fighting with the iron-skin crocodile. She had to settle this quickly. Yijioga raised the Thunder Snake illusionary whip again and stuck her finger into the snake's head. There were 2 snake teeth inside. Sucking blood could unlock the demon artifact's seal. However, it could only be unlocked once a day. Unlock Thunder Snake Demon Artifact. Yijioga muttered in her heart. After sucking blood, the snake's eyes lit up and instantly released a terrifying aura. It was like a starving beast that had been imprisoned for a long time and wanted to devour all living things. The iron-skin crocodile originally wanted to swallow Yijioga into its stomach. After feeling the bloodthirsty aura from the Thunder Snake illusionary whip, it swung its tail and wanted to escape. The Thunder Snake illusionary whip suddenly expanded and turned into a slender silver poisonous snake. In an instant, it pierced through the iron-skin crocodile. The iron-skin crocodile's body exploded. Blood dyed the entire water. The Thunder Snake illusionary whip swam in the water and greedily devoured the blood. With the crisis averted, Yijioga relaxed. She found that the oxygen in her lungs was getting less and less. If she couldn't breathe in fresh air, she would suffocate to death. Chapter 138. Little dummy, can't you tell me if you want to transfer chi to me? Zishang showed up in the water and leisurely swayed his long black snake tail, protecting Yijioga by his side. His jade-like skin emitted a faint light. His originally handsome face was like a mandala in full bloom in the water, beautiful beyond compare. Especially those purple eyes, which shone like the most beautiful crystal, revealing a sharp light that looked down on everything. He was so beautiful that he was like the god of water, illuminating the whole dark and bloody water. Even though Yijioga was used to Zishang's beauty, she still couldn't help but be fascinated. Do you want it? Zishang smiled. Of course. Yijioga was about to suffocate to death. How could she care about propriety and shame anymore? She grabbed Zishang's arm and fiercely bit it. She wanted to stick her tongue in and tie it with his tongue so that he couldn't abandon her. Zishang was very satisfied with Yijioga's enthusiasm. The long snake tail wrapped around her body tightly, holding her and sinking to the bottom of the water. Zishang's lips were soft and cool, with a faint fragrance. It was simply irresistible. After Yijioga recovered from the extreme suffocation, she only felt satisfied, dizzy, and weak all over. She actually had a strange pleasure. No wonder some perverts like to play suffocation. It was really special, but she definitely didn't want to try it again. At this time, they had already sunk to the bottom of the water. In front of them was an extremely gloomy water channel with a strange smell. This dark and bottomless water channel should be very scary, but because of Zishang's beauty, Yi Jiuge completely ignored this gloomy environment. In her eyes, there was only Zishang's charming purple eyes, straight nose, red lips, and the beautiful and mysterious demon tattoos on his body. Yi Jiuge didn't know that in Zishang's eyes, she was also like a white lotus that was blooming, beautiful, enchanting, and extremely moving. This water channel was very long. After half an hour, Yi Jiuge began to suffocate again and had to go to Zishang for help. Their bodies were entangled, one up and one down, rising and falling in the water, with indescribable ambiguity. The originally simple transfer of qi gradually became a little strange. Yi Jiuge could clearly feel that Zishang was flirting with her. At first, the soft tongue of the snake only swept across her sensitive upper jaw tentatively. Sensing that she didn't avoid it, he began to be bold and unbridled, inviting her little tongue to wander. Yi Jiuge actually refused to mess around in the water. What if he was accidentally sucked dry by the purple deceased sword? However, she was unable to withstand Zishang's experience. He messed around with the flow of qi and the breathing of qi, causing her to be confused and lost in love. She didn't even know when she had left the bottom of the lake. With a crash, Yi Jiuge finally woke up. She pushed away the purple deceased sword that was tightly wrapped around her body. Only then did she realize that she had come to a strange cave. In front of her eyes were piles of white beast bones. A gust of cold wind blew through the gloomy cave, bringing with it a moldy stench that made one's hair stand on end. "If you're afraid, then hold on to me tightly." Zishang expressed that his embrace would always be open for her. "Tisk, big sister has seen more bones than salt, what's there to be afraid of?" She was just a little surprised. Yi Jiuge glanced around and found the fat black rat lying in a corner. He struggled free from Zishang's embrace and went ashore. He saw the fat black rat lying on top of an unremarkable white bone in enjoyment. This white bone was only as long as an adult's arm. Compared to the sinister and tall white bones around it, it was extremely ordinary. There was nothing eye-catching about it. "Fatty Black, what are you lying here for?" Yi Jiuge picked up the fat black rat and asked. The fat black rat ignored Yi Jiuge and looked at the purple deceased sword that was slowly moving over. Its fat paw pointed at the white bone and shouted like it was presenting a treasure, "Pippi!" The purple deceased sword's cold purple eyes swept across the white bone and said indifferently, "Not bad." Yi Jiuge's heart moved. Something that could attract the purple deceased sword's attention was definitely not an ordinary item. She opened her spiritual eye and carefully observed the white bone. She discovered that there was something that was flickering like a flame. "There's hope." Yi Jiuge imbued her lightning snake illusionary whip with her spiritual energy and pierced towards the white bone. A wisp of cold white ghost flame came out from the cut. It was actually a third-grade ghost flame, white bone flame. Even though this ghost flame's grade was not high, it had its own unique points that yang flames could not compare to. The ghost flame was born from a 1,000-year-old pile of white bones. It could absorb all kinds of resentment, yin qi and ghost qi. Its unique yin qi attack was extremely terrifying. Those that were burned by the ghost flame would fall sick as if they were possessed by a ghost. Other than that, this ghost flame could be used to refine all kinds of yin spiritual pills and ghost spiritual pills. It would have an extremely strong effect. For an assassin like Yi Yu who was hiding in the dark, if he could use these yin pills to cultivate, his cultivation would improve by leaps and bounds. Most importantly, the white bone flame could be upgraded. If it could be upgraded into the netherworld ghost flame, it would become an existence that was not inferior to the red lotus lightning fire. At that time, he would have the red lotus on his left, the netherworld on his right, and the lightning fire in the middle. How cool would that be? Even though the process of upgrading the white bone flame was extremely long, as there was hope, there was nothing to be afraid of. I can absorb this flame, right? Yi Jioge looked at the burning white ghost flame excitedly. Of course, you can absorb it here. Zi Shang stood behind Yi Jioge to protect her. Yi Jioge suppressed the ecstasy in her heart. Her hands formed a spiritual attraction technique and was about to absorb the white bone flame. The white bone flame had stayed here for thousands of years. How could it be willing to be absorbed by someone? It turned around and wanted to escape. Come here. Yi Jioge shot out a spiritual light and forcefully absorbed it into her body. After Yi Jioge absorbed the white bone flame, her expression became even more serious. Absorbing it was only the first step. Taming it was the most important step. Yi Jioge began to use her spiritual energy to absorb the white bone flame. The white bone flame was still obedient at the beginning. It followed Yi Jioge's spiritual energy to her dantian. Next, she only needed to leave her divine sense imprint on the white bone flame to complete the taming process. At this moment, the white bone flame suddenly exploded with a bang. An incomparably cold yin qi burst out and quickly spread along the meridians in Yi Jioge's body. Yi Jioge hurriedly increased the strength of the suppression. The white bone flame also felt the danger. The flame rapidly swallowed and spat out waves of cold yin qi. Yi Jioge's spiritual energy was greatly consumed by the white bone flame struggle. At this speed, her spiritual energy would soon be completely exhausted. At that time, the white bone flame would lose its suppression. It would start to burn from within her body and directly burn her to ashes. Yi Jioge could not help but shiver. She was in a trance. Suddenly, layers upon layers of ghost shadows appeared in front of her. A cold wind blew and 10,000 ghosts cried. The door to the yellow springs slowly opened. Countless ghost claws grabbed Yi Jioge's ankle and pulled her towards the yellow springs. Yi Jioge felt her scalp go numb. She could not help but scream. Chapter 139. Zi Shang looked on coldly from the side. He had no intention of making a move. If he couldn't even subdue this small white bone flame, then there was no way he could subdue the red lotus lightning fire. When Yi Jioge sensed Zi Shang's disdain, he immediately sobered up and the evil fire in his heart flared up. It was fine if Zi Shang bullied her. You little wildfire dare to behave atrociously in front of me? Do you really think I'm a sick cat? Yi Jioge mobilized all of his spiritual energy. Inside his body, a silvery white mini lightning snake phantom whip was formed. The little thunder snake illusionary whip opened its mouth wide and was filled with killing intent. It was ferocious and greedy, like a vicious beast released from the abyss. It wanted to devour everything and be quiet. If you don't listen to me, I'll eat you. Yi Jioge's ruthless killing intent was transmitted to the white bone flame through the thunder snake illusionary whip without any obstruction. She already had a disobedient demonic weapon, the thunder snake mirage whip, so she didn't want to get another disobedient spiritual fire. After the white bone flame felt Yi Jioge's killing intent, it immediately shrunk into the shape of a small skeleton, hugging its knees and shivering in its dantian. Like a child being threatened by a bully. Yi Jioge knew that this was a sign of the white bone flame submitting to her, so she took the opportunity to place a divine sense imprint on the white bone flame. After successfully subduing the white bone fire, the extremely cold yin power just now turned into pure spiritual power, directly allowing her to advance from a rudimentary spiritualist to an intermediate spiritualist. It was indeed a treasure. Yi Jioge was delighted and stretched out her index finger. A wisp of eerie white flame rose, illuminating her face with a very strange sense of beauty. It was like a white lotus flower blooming in a pool of blood filled with white bones. The extreme black revealed the extreme white. This kind of beauty was even more holy and beautiful than that of a fairy from the ninth heaven. It could simply shake one's soul. Yi Jioge didn't know that he was walking further and further down the path of the white lotus. After she kept the white bone flame, she carefully inspected the white bone cave. Apart from a pile of iron skin crocodile bones, there was nothing else. It seemed that this cave was the burial chamber of the iron skin crocodile. Every iron-skinned crocodile who was ready to die would come here to rest in peace. If that was the case, there would soon be new iron-skin crocodiles guarding the tomb. Thinking of this, Yi Jioga couldn't wait to leave. At this time, the Thunder Snake illusionary whip suddenly broke free from Yi Jioga's grasp. It transformed into a giant python, opened its mouth, and swallowed all the bones in the tomb. What's going on? Yi Jioga turned to ask Zishang. You eat meat but can't it drink soup? Zishang wrapped itself around Yi Jioga and rested its chin on her head as if it had no bones. You mean it's repairing itself? Yi Jioga's eyes lit up. After the Thunder Snake demonic artifact recognizes its master, it has the ability to repair itself. The white bones here can condense spirit fire and contain a lot of spirit force. It can repair the Thunder Snake illusionary whip's damaged parts. As Zishang explained, he tapped Yi Jioga's head with his chin. Although Yi Jioga's head was hurting from Zishang's pointed chin, when he heard that the lightning snake illusionary whip was about to advance, he was still grinning from ear to ear. No wonder spiritualists love to hunt for treasures. It's a profitable business indeed. This time, not only did she manage to subdue the white bone flame and successfully advance, she could also repair the demon artifact at the same time. What a great deal! After the lightning snake illusionary whip devoured all of the white bones, it returned to Yi Jioga's hand. The color of the snake scales on its body became more and more exquisite. It faintly looked like a fourth segment was growing, and it looked even more spiritual. Yi Jioga rubbed it twice in satisfaction and wrapped the lightning snake illusionary whip back around his waist. At this time, the fat black rat shouted in dissatisfaction, "Pie pie! You guys eat meat and drink soup, what about me? Say it, what do you want?" Yi Jioga was in a good mood. She knew that it was the fat black rat's credit that they were able to find the white bone flame this time. Naturally, she had to reward it. "Pie pie!" The fat black rat revealed its sharp white teeth at Yi Jioga's finger. Then, it bit its little paw and made a sucking expression. "You want to suck my blood?" Yi Jioga instantly understood. She didn't expect her blood to be so awesome that even the fat black rat coveted it. "Pai Pai Chan." The fat black rat nodded and blinked its big eyes, revealing a flattering expression. Before Yi Jioga could reply, a fierce and terrifying aura burst forth. Daring to touch this sovereign's person, you have guts. Zishang raised his hand, and an invisible force grabbed the fat black rat and lifted it into the air. "Pai Pai." The fat black rat was so scared that it stuffed its two fat paws into its mouth. With its big eyes filled with tears, it looked at Yi Jioga pitifully. "That's enough. What's so heroic about scaring a fat mouse? Besides, it wants my blood, not yours." Yi Jioga patted Zishang's arm. She still needed this fat black rat to help her purify the pill poison. "What if I scare it away?" Zishang narrowed his eyes and looked at Yi Jioga. He did not put down the fat black rat. Instead, he asked with a threatening tone, "Do you still want to suck her blood?" "Pai Pai Pai Pai." The fat black rat shook its head with all its might. Only then did Zishang put down the fat black rat. The fat black rat ran back into Yi Jioga's bag. Yi Jioga lightly patted the fat black rat's position and said to herself, "It's okay, when Zishang falls asleep, Big Sister will secretly feed you. I'm warning you, you better not have this idea." Zishang narrowed his purple eyes and said coldly, "This spirit rat's origin is unknown. Before we find out its background, you better not get too close to it. It's just a fat black rat. What's there to worry about?" Yi Jioga felt that Zishang was making a big fuss over a minor issue. This fat black rat was so weak. It did not have any attack power. What kind of storm could it cause? "Don't forget the agreement between us. Every drop of blood on your body belongs to me. If you dare to act rashly, don't blame me for being impolite." Seeing that Yi Jioga still had a disapproving expression, Zishang's eyes flashed with a dangerous light. He hugged her and pressed her down on his lower abdomen. The taste of punishment was self-evident. Yi Jioga could clearly feel two bulging bulges pushing against her from behind. At this time, she remembered a legend. The snake seemed to have two big sticks. Yi Jioga's scalp instantly went numb. She hurriedly promised, "I won't move. I won't move." "You really won't move?" Zishang exhaled, but his voice was filled with regret. "I really won't move." So quickly take back your two evil sticks. Zishang's red lips hooked up. He slowly let go of Yijioga. Actually, he did not want to do anything to Yijioga in this damned place. He was only teasing her. But Yijioga, this idiot, was too stubborn. He could only use this kind of method to threaten her. Yijioga secretly heaved a sigh of relief. She did not want to stay in this damned place for another second. She also did not want to go back with Zishang. Thus, she took out the fat black rat and said, "Do you still have those blue stones from last time? Give me one." Chapter 140. The fat black rat looked at Zishang. Seeing that he didn't object, it took out a blue stone from its small animal skin bag and threw it to Yijioga. Yijioga ate the blue stone and said to Zishang, "Let's go." Zishang didn't say anything and went into the water with Yijioga. Yijioga was eager to go back and return to the shore at a faster speed than when he came. After Zishang followed Yijioga to the shore, he gently patted her head and said, "Get the spirit fire and go back to concoct pills." Yijioga didn't dare to provoke the stick snake and obediently nodded. Zishang then returned to the imprint with satisfaction. Yijioga heaved a sigh of relief and rejoiced in her heart. Luckily, Zishang's demon power hadn't recovered yet and the time he could spend every day was limited. If he could appear and follow her for 24 hours, it would become her nightmare. Zishang was preparing to cultivate in Yijioga's imprint and couldn't help but smile when he read Yijioga's thoughts. Since Yijioga was looking forward to him following her like a shadow, he couldn't let little dummy down. Yijioga still didn't know her nightmare was coming. She couldn't wait to return to Purple Forest Park and prepare to concoct external pills. Not long after Yijioga left the deep pond, a pink figure appeared in front of the deep pond. A faint smell of blood emitted from her body. The wild beasts in the surrounding valley heard the smell and came over but were destroyed by her hand, turning into a ball of blood in her hand. "Little baby, quickly take me to find the spirit fire after drinking the blood." The pink girl smiled sweetly. She was the female disciple of bloodthirsty sect, Lu Yunfei. She held a purple scorpion the size of a palm in her hand. After swallowing the ball of blood, her long tail pointed towards the bottom of the pond. "So it's at the bottom of the pond. I didn't expect a place like Shangjing to have a spirit fire." Lu Yunfei smiled with satisfaction. After she left the Blood Cloud Peak, she quickly rushed to the Shangjing. Originally, she wanted to directly find Su Junqing to understand the situation. She didn't expect that when she passed by the vicinity, her treasure-seeking scorpion suddenly moved and brought her all the way here. "Lead the way." Lu Yunfei flicked her finger. The treasure-seeking scorpion jumped into the deep pond and swam towards the bottom. Lu Yunfei followed without hesitation. Not long after sinking to the bottom, she smelled a faint smell of blood. Obviously, there was a battle here and it didn't last long. Don't tell me someone got there first. Lu Yunfei's eyes were gloomy. She sped up and followed the treasure-seeking scorpion to an empty cave. Up and down, front and back, left and right, she turned them upside down, but there was nothing but a pile of broken bones. Damn it! Who stole my treasure? Lu Yunfei was so angry that her face turned malevolent. She smashed a hole in the wall with her palm. No, that person shouldn't have gone far. There's still time to catch up. Bring me to the person who took the white bone flame. Lu Yunfei bit her finger and dripped a drop of blood towards the treasure-seeking scorpion. Her blood essence was 10,000 times stronger than that of a beast. A red light flashed on the body of the treasure-seeking scorpion. Its tail moved left and right before finally stopping in the east, which was the direction that Yijioga had left. Lu Yunfei jumped back into the deep pool and was about to chase after them when she was stopped by an iron-skinned crocodile that smelled blood. She didn't have time to waste on the iron-skinned crocodile. She raised her hand and threw a ball of blood in the opposite direction. The aroma of the spiritual blood enticed the iron-skinned crocodile to immediately pounce on it. Lu Yunfei quickly returned to the shore. The treasure-seeking scorpion could no longer find traces of Yijioga. Although the treasure-seeking scorpion was a spiritual beast, it could only sense the white bone flame within a radius of 10 miles. Damn it, damn it, damn it! Lu Yunfei, who was furious, jumped into the deep pool and tied the iron skin crocodile up. She skinned it alive, pulled out its tendons, and trampled it into meat paste. Only then did she relieve the anger in her chest. "You caused me to be covered in blood." Lu Yunfei sent the iron skin crocodile flying with a kick. She took out a new set of clothes from her cosmos sack and changed into it. Only then did she continue to walk towards Shangjing. Yi Jioga didn't know that an innocent iron skin crocodile had been killed because of her. She was preparing to use the white bone flame that she obtained to concoct a third-ranked clear heart pill. Berberine, ice mint, clear mind grass. Yi Jioga threw the ingredients into the small bronze cauldron one by one and summoned the white bone flame to start concocting the pill. Using spiritual fire to concoct pills was indeed different. The small cauldron, which was usually like an old cow pulling a cart, began to revolve at a much faster speed. The impurities of the medicinal herbs were quickly analyzed and turned into a green solution that emitted a faint fragrance. When Yi Jioga was almost done concocting, she called the fat black rat over to help her clear the pill poison. "Pippi!" The fat black rat didn't even raise its head and called out in a muffled voice. It hugged its small tail and shrunk into a black ball of fur. It had an expression that said, "Don't bother me if I'm in a bad mood." Yi Jioga could understand its gloomy mood. It had painstakingly brought people to search for treasures. Everyone was eating the meat and drinking the soup. It only wanted to drink some blood and was threatened by Zishang. It was no wonder that it was in a bad mood. However, no matter how much Yi Jioga understood the fat black rat's mood, she didn't dare to give her blood to drink. Zishang's 2 big sticks were still a threat to her. Fortunately, the clear heart pill that was concocted using the white bone flame was not bad. Even without the fat black rat's help to clear the pill poison, it was still a second-ranked high-grade spirit pill. After Yi Jioga stored the light green pill in a jade bottle, she left the alchemy room and returned to her room to rest. At this moment, she suddenly felt a faint fluctuation coming from the shadow beside the door. She stopped and said, "Yi Yu, why are you here? How did eldest miss find me?" Yi Yu revealed his figure, his handsome face full of surprise. Ever since he transformed into a shadow assassin, as long as he didn't reveal any flaws, no one would be able to find him. "What do you think?" Yi Jioga revealed an advanced smile. Yi Yu took a closer look and realized that Yi Jioga had advanced to an intermediate spiritualist. He cupped his hands and said, "Congratulations on your successful advancement, eldest Mississippi. Thank you." Yi Jioga's rose-like lips curled up slightly and she smiled reservedly. Yi Yu felt a little dizzy from Yi Jioga's smile. He didn't know if it was because of the moonlight, but Yi Jioga looked especially beautiful tonight. She was like a fairy in the moonlight, so perfect that she didn't look like a real person. "It's so late, why are you looking for me?" Yi Jioga asked. "There's something I want to report to you." Yi Yu immediately restrained his intoxicated state and said seriously, "Then come in." Yi Jioga turned around and returned to the alchemy room. She called out to Yi Yu, "Sit anywhere you want." Yi Yu glanced at the messy alchemy room and felt that there wasn't even a place to stand, let alone sit. Yi Jioga rudely pushed the things on the stool to a corner and tried to make a clean space. "I'll just stand." Yi Yu quickly stopped Yi Jioga's violent demolition. "Alright." Yi Jioga gave up on tidying up and turned around to ask, "Tell me, what's the matter?" This afternoon, a girl wearing a pink dress went to look for Su Junqing. Yi Yu said with a serious expression. Chapter 141. Didn't I tell you not to go near Su Junqing? Yi Jioga frowned. Yi Yu was too disobedient. What if Su Junqing, that pervert, found out? I didn't go near him. It was the rats guarding the Su residence that told me. Yi Yu quickly explained. Recently, in order to help Yi Jioga spread the message, he reorganized the dark forces in Shangjing. He didn't expect that those rats would regard him as their boss and take the initiative to help him spy on the Su residents. This news was sent back by those rats. So that's how it is. Yi Jioga relaxed his expression and asked with some doubt, "What woman went to find Su Junqing?" Su Junqing had always been surrounded by thousands of flowers. He had never heard of a woman who dared to go to his door to find him. I heard that it was a very beautiful girl with a sweet smile. She was about 18 years old and her accent was like that of a foreigner. At that time, Su Junqing personally came out to greet her and seemed to be very respectful to her. Yi Yu couldn't help but pause before continuing. I received the news and rushed over. At the door, I smelled a cold, bloody smell similar to Su Junqing's. It should be left behind by that woman. Yi Yu's cultivation had improved a lot during this period of time. He was also more sensitive to yin qi and bloody smell. Seems like that woman is also a heretic cultivator. Yi Jioga thought of the empress who was repeatedly frustrated in the palace. Could she be the one who called them over? Should I go and investigate? Yu asked tentatively. Yi Jioga didn't allow him to go near the Su residence, so he didn't dare to act rashly. Yi Jioga thought about it and shook his head. Recently, Shang Jing has been searching for heretic cultivators. This woman appeared in the Su residence openly and left behind such a strong smell. It's really not normal. You mean there's a trap? Yi Yu immediately understood. It's very possible. Yi Jioga nodded. The female heretic cultivator coming to Shangjing at this time was very likely to find Su Junqing to investigate Su Hansen's murder. Su Junqing took the opportunity to set a trap and used the female heretic cultivator to deal with them. Just when Yi Jioga and Yi Yu were guessing Su Junqing's purpose, Su Junqing was respectfully welcoming Lu Yunfei into his study. Your place is not bad. Lu Yunfei looked at the elegant study in front of her and reached out to fiddle with the neatly arranged brushes. Senior sister, please excuse me. Su Junqing wore a golden crown on his head and a white robe. He was cultured, elegant, and had an extraordinary bearing. He did not look like a bloodthirsty sect disciple at all. Lu Yunfei played with the ends of her black hair as her watery gaze fell on Su Junqing. Her small pink tongue couldn't help but lightly lick her lips. Su Junqing felt like a frog being stared at by a poisonous snake, and a layer of cold sweat immediately appeared on his back. Although he rarely returned to the bloodthirsty sect, he had heard a little about this senior sister who liked to collect the skin of beautiful women. He knew that in addition to being bloodthirsty, she had also cultivated some evil arts of harvesting yang to nourish yin. A few of the good-looking men in bloodthirsty sect had mysteriously died. The rest of the male disciples had their faces covered in dirt, keeping a respectful distance from her. Even bloodthirsty ancestor, who loved beauties, did not dare to have any ideas about Lu Yunfei. Junior brother, why are you sweating so much? Lu Yunfei moved closer to Su Junqing and placed her soft little hand on his shoulder. Her voice was as sweet as honey. It's probably because the weather is hot. Senior sister, you must be tired after a long journey. Why don't you have a drink to relieve yourself first? Su Junqing turned around without batting an eyelid and took out a long glass cup from a secret compartment in the study. It was filled with dark red blood and emitted a strong smell of blood. Under the dim yellow candlelight, it shone with a strange light. The spirit blood of an earth spirit root virgin. Not bad. Lu Yunfei reclined on the chair and continued to stare at Su Junqing. She was obviously more interested in him. Senior sister, you really know what's good. Su Junqing personally poured a cup for Lu Yunfei and said with a smile, Junior brother doesn't have anything good here. Please do me the honor, senior sister. Junior brother is too polite. Lu Yunfei took a sip and said with a faint smile, you can't even get such good things from the patriarch. Senior sister, you must be joking. There are all kinds of beauties with spirit roots at the patriarch's place. If you want to drink it, it's ready-made. Only a poor person like me would keep a little bit of spirit blood. Su Junqing smiled faintly. This meant that the spirit blood was secretly obtained from a living person. This kind of behavior was not uncommon in the bloodthirsty sect. Women with spirit roots were treasures everywhere. It was not easy for the disciples of the bloodthirsty sect to find one. Usually, they would secretly give some blood to the patriarch. Hee, I heard that junior brother is very capable. That gold spirit root beauty from last time not only won the favor of the patriarch, but even I was moved when I saw her. I heard that the girl was obtained by junior brother's bewitching skill. When are you going to help senior sister get one? Lu Yunfei's eyes were like silk, and her blood-stained red lips were extremely seductive. She was as enchanting as the reincarnation of a demon. Su Juanqing's mind wavered for a moment, but he quickly regained his senses and was immediately shocked. He did not expect Lu Yunfei's bewitching skill to be so powerful. If his cultivation had not increased during this period of time, he would have fallen for it. He did not dare to show that he was awake, so he continued to pretend to be confused and asked, "May I know which beauty senior sister is talking about?" "The beauty with the red mole between her eyebrows." Lu Yunfei pinched Su Juanqing's handsome face with her soft little hands and said coquettishly, "You heartless person, you forgot so quickly. There was no other beauty with a red mole between her eyebrows but Yiyunji." When Su Juanqing thought of Yiyunji, he could not keep the smile on his face. All these years, he had cheated and tricked many beauties with spirit roots for the patriarch. Yiyunji was undoubtedly the most special one. What was special about her was not that her spirit root was powerful, nor was it that her beauty was unparalleled. Instead, it was that Yiyunji became pregnant with his child after they consummated their marriage. The beautiful appearance of Yiyunji when she was pregnant flashed through his mind, and he felt an inexplicable sourness in his heart. At that time, he really wanted to hide Yiyunji and let her give birth to the child safely. He did not expect that she would abort the child after learning that the Yi family was destroyed. When Su Juanqing thought of the bloody fetus, he could not help but clench his fists. He did not need a bitch who was out of control. Therefore, he did not hesitate to give Yiyunji to the bloodthirsty patriarch. He had thought that she would die quickly like the other women. He did not expect that she was still alive. Lu Yunfei had been observing Su Juanqing's expression. When she saw that his expression was ferocious and filled with hatred, which was no different from the bastards of the bloodthirsty sect, she immediately lost interest. Lu Yunfei's pretty face changed, and she said impatiently, "This time, I came to investigate the cause of death of Nurse Su and Su Hansen. Tell me what happened." Chapter 142. Su Juanqing did not understand why Lu Yunfei suddenly became hostile, but her cold face was much better than seducing him earlier, so he straightened his face and said, "Wet Nurse Su and Su Hansen were killed by Yi Jioga, Wan Ziang, by Songling and the others. Tell me, who are they?" Lu Yunfei drank the spiritual blood with an indifferent look on her face. Su Juanqing then explained the origins of Yi Jioga and the other two. Yi Jioga is Grandmaster Yun's granddaughter, Wan Ziang is a rising star in the Ministry of Justice, and Bai Songling is Prince Dongling's confidant. Are you afraid that others won't know about the existence of us evil cultivators? Lu Yunfei's eyes instantly turned dangerous. Although she was arrogant, she was not brainless. Evil cultivators' cultivation methods were cruel and had always been a thorn in the side of the righteous spiritualists. Otherwise, the bloodthirsty sect would not have hidden in the remote mountains. Now that Emperor Xianwu was searching for evil cultivators everywhere, if she made such a big case, wouldn't she be giving it to the righteous spiritualists? "Senior sister, please calm down. Listen to me for a moment." Su Juanqing carefully explained his plan to her. After listening, Lu Yunfei could not help but look at Su Juanqing and smiled. "I really underestimated Junior Brother. Junior Brother is really talented to think of such an idea. Senior sister, you flatter me. I'm also doing this for the good of the bloodthirsty sect. As long as we get rid of all these people, I can guarantee that Emperor Xianwu will not dare to mention evil cultivators again." Su Juanqing said confidently. He had spent a lot of effort to think of this idea. It would definitely be able to get rid of those thorns. "Okay, then we'll do as you say." Lu Yunfei nodded indifferently. "Thank you for your support, senior sister." Su Juanqing cupped his hands and said, "Senior sister coming here today has probably attracted the attention of many people. There might be spies coming to investigate. Senior sister, please help me." "What? A few spies are enough to stump you." Lu Yunfei played with the glass cup and drank another mouthful of spirit blood. "Senior sister, please don't laugh at me. I'm not afraid of other spies, but there is one that is very difficult to deal with." Su Juanqing sighed and said, "That spy is called Yi Yu and has already cultivated into a shadow assassin. He comes and goes without a trace and is truly difficult to deal with. Interesting, I like this kind of excitement. Lu Yunfei licked the blood on the corner of her mouth, like a cat that smelled blood. With senior sister's help, that scout will definitely die. Su Junqing had a smile on his face, but his eyes were sizing up Lu Yunfei without a trace. He noticed that the red pupils in her eyes were gradually forming, which meant that she had cultivated the bloodthirst art to the 3rd level. If he could absorb her, his cultivation would definitely jump to the spirit master level. At that time, the power of the bewitching art would be even greater. Su Junqing's heart was burning, but he quickly put it away. If he was discovered by Lu Yunfei, he would probably be the first one to be devoured. This kind of woman was too dangerous. It was better to send her away as soon as possible. Su Junqing and Lu Yunfei appeared to be in harmony, but were actually at odds. Yi Jiuge and Yi Yu also had different opinions. Big Missy, the trap is just your guess. There must be an unusual purpose for a demonic practitioner to enter the capital under such circumstances. I still feel that we need to go and investigate. Yi Yu had an inexplicable intuition that the female demonic practitioner definitely knew about his sister, so he had to go. Seeing Yi Yu's determined face, Yi Jiuge knew that he could not stop him, so he said, "All right, for safety's sake, let's prepare first and go check tomorrow night. I'm afraid it will be late tomorrow." Yi Yu wanted to go now. "If I say tomorrow night, then tomorrow night. If you don't listen to me, don't come and ask me for anything in the future." Yi Jiuge's face darkened. At this time, Zi Shang's lazy voice sounded in Yi Jiuge's ears. "If you had listened to me and imprinted a slave contract on him, he definitely would not have dared to act recklessly. I have no interest in being a slave leader." Yi Jiuge did not want to conquer the continent, so why would he need a slave? Everyone took what they needed and parted on good terms. Zi Shang was very dissatisfied with Yi Jiuge's lack of fighting spirit, but he did not say anything more. Seeing Yi Jiuge's expression constantly changing, Yi Yu thought that she was really angry, so he hurriedly said, "I'll listen to you. It's getting late, you go back first and come find me tomorrow night." Yi Jiuge pinched the bridge of her nose. In order to recover the white bone flame, she had been running around for a whole day and was exhausted. "Sorry to disturb you, then you should rest well." Seeing the tired look on Yi Jiuge's face, Yi Yu suddenly felt a little guilty. Yi Jiuge half squinted her eyes, waved her hand, and like a wandering spirit, she returned to the house and fell asleep. The next day, she went out for a stroll, inquired about some news, and made some arrangements before returning to Purple Forest Park. After she changed into her night clothes, she saw that it was still early, so she went to the alchemy room to continue refining the 3rd stage clear heart pill. Night quietly fell, there were no stars and no moon, and the cold wind blew the leaves, making rustling sounds. Yi Jiuge refined another 2 bottles of 3rd stage clear heart pill, and when she walked out of the room, it was exactly midnight. Yi was already waiting in the courtyard and said, "Eldest miss, the spy I placed in the Su residence reported that after that woman entered the Su residence, she was arranged by Su Junqing to stay in his study, and no one was allowed to enter or leave. Looks like Su Junqing is really afraid that we won't go find her." Yi Jiuge smiled. Arranging a woman of unknown origin to stay in such a strange place like the study, as long as one was interested in the Su residence, they would not be able to resist investigating. "Eldest miss, why don't I go to the Su residence myself?" Yi Yu was not afraid of traps, but he was afraid of dragging Yi Jiuge down. "Don't be silly, take this. Before entering the Su residence, it can resist Su Junqing's bewitching spell." Yi Jiuge threw the newly refined clear heart pill to Yi Yu. "Many thanks." Yi Yu took the pill, and once again rejoiced that he followed a pill master, so he did not have to worry about pills. Yi Jiuge put on her mask and quietly went to the Su residence with Yi Yu. Compared to the previous time when it was brightly lit, the current Su residence was much dimmer. Su Junqing's study is next to the main courtyard. Yi Yu stood in the shadows and pointed to the brightly lit small courtyard in the middle. Yi Jiuge glanced at the main courtyard and then looked at Old Master Su's small building and asked, "How is Old Master Su now? How else can he be?" His descendants are filial, greet him in the morning and evening, and he is surrounded by servants. What a blessing! Yi Yu sneered. He hated everyone in the Su family, including old Master Su. Knowing that he is not doing well, then I am relieved. Yi Jioga smiled. Until now, the spirit doctors in Shangjing had not discovered that old Master Su's coma was caused by a demonic technique, so there was no cure. Yi Yu deeply agreed with Yi Jioga's words, and softly asked, "Eldest miss, do we go now?" "No rush, wait a little longer." Yi Jioga shook her head. Now was not the time to go in. Chapter 143. Yi Yu was a little confused. When he was about to ask Yi Jioga what was going on, he heard neat footsteps coming from the quiet street. He looked up and saw a group of soldiers, led by Wan Xiang and by Songling. As soon as they arrived at the Su family, they smashed the door and shouted, "Open the door, open the door." "Sir, it's so late." "What's the matter?" the servant of the Su family asked in fear. "Get out of the way." Wan Xiang pushed the servant away and rushed in with his soldiers. Su Junqing stopped Wan Xiang with his guards and said gloomily, "You two are so powerful. What do you want to do by breaking into our Su family in the middle of the night?" "Someone reported that your Su family is harboring a heretic. Please cooperate with the investigation." Wan Xiang's eyes were cold and his attitude was tough. "You want to search our Su family with just one sentence? What does Lord Wan think of us?" Su Junqing said with anger. The guards behind him immediately pulled out their swords and stood in a row behind him. "What do you mean by this?" "The emperor asked us to investigate the heretic. Do you want to defy the law?" Bai Songling began to make a big deal. "What do you mean by investigating the heretic? I think you want to avenge yourself." Su Junqing didn't give in. The situation immediately fell into a stalemate. "What are you waiting for? Go down." Yi Jioga elbowed Yi Yu, who was in a daze. "This is your arrangement?" Yi Yu looked at Yi Jioga in surprise. He didn't expect that she would call Wan Xiang. "Of course, ordinary people like us have to report to the government immediately when we find a dangerous person." Yi Jioga smiled proudly. "Okay, go down. I'll wait here. If there's anything, just send the signal." Yi Yu didn't say anything more. He took advantage of the chaos and sneaked into the main courtyard silently. He pried open the window of the study and landed on the ground. Suddenly, he felt like stepping on mud. Yi Yu looked down and found that there was a layer of light red sand in the shadow of the floor of the study. He was about to leave when a sweet voice sounded in the study. "What are you looking for, little brother? Do you need my help?" Then, a fair and soft little hand reached into the shadows and tore off Yi Yu's mask with incomparable precision. Yi Yu raised his head and saw a girl in a pink dress standing in front of him. "Aya, what a beautiful little brother." The young girl looked at Yi Yu with a hint of amazement in her eyes. "For you?" Yi Yu looked at the beautiful girl with vigilance. "I'm Lu Yunfei, the third disciple of Bloodthirsty's forefather. You can call me Xiao Fei." Lu Yunfei twirled her hair with her fingers and smiled brightly. Bloodthirsty ancestor had many disciples, but he only had 3 direct disciples. Lu Yunfei was his last disciple. When Yi Yu heard the 3 words, bloodthirsty sect, his heart skipped a beat. He calmly asked, "Why are you here?" "Are you also here to ask Su Junqing for human blood to cultivate?" "Hee, those who cultivate with human blood are all outer disciples. I don't need it." Lu Yunfei's big watery eyes looked ambiguously at Yi Yu's tall and straight body, revealing the unique desire of an adult woman. Her expression was pure and evil, innocent and lascivious. All kinds of complicated auras blended together to form a strange charm that could make men fall head over heels for her. Yi Yu felt a strange fragrance float past his nose, causing him to involuntarily take a step toward Lu Yunfei. But soon, an ice-cold bitterness rushed from his stomach to his brain. Yi Yu immediately woke up and retreated into the shadows again. He cautiously asked, "Since you don't need human blood to cultivate, why are you in cahoots with Su Junqing? Don't you know he's a liar?" "What do you mean? Have you been tricked by him?" Lu Yunfei blinked and asked curiously. "I haven't been tricked by him, But he tricked a man from bloodthirsty sect called Su Hansen into a secret room and killed him to extract his blood. Yi Yu's mouth twitched and revealed a disdainful smile. He looked as if bloodthirsty sect was full of idiots. What did you say? Su Hansen was killed by Su Junqing? Lu Yunfei's expression froze. She didn't expect to hear such news from Yi Yu. That's right, it was in the secret room of the house that caught fire on the west side. I hid in Su Junqing's shadow and saw it with my own eyes, Yi Yu said with certainty. Lu Yunfei's eyes narrowed and she inwardly judged the truth of Yi Yu's words. Logically, she shouldn't believe the enemy's words. But emotionally, it was very likely that Su Junqing would do such a thing. After all, bloodthirsty sect believed in the law of the jungle. If she saw a heavily injured bloodthirsty sect disciple in front of her, she would immediately kill him. The first thing she did was to kill Xiangong, not to heal him. Yi Yu saw Lu Yunfei's strange expression and didn't know if she believed his words. Seeing that there wasn't much time left, he couldn't help but say, I can help you deal with Su Junqing, but you have to help me with something. Help you with what? Lu Yunfei didn't need Yi Yu to deal with Su Junqing. She just wanted to tease him. Yi Yu hesitated. He wanted Lu Yunfei to help him find his sister. But if the people of bloodthirsty sect knew how much he cared about his sister, he was afraid that his sister would be taken hostage. But on the other hand, the more value his sister had, the more chance of survival he would have. So Yi Yu made up his mind and said, I want you to help me find a woman that Su Junqing gave away. She looks very similar to me and also has a red mole between her eyebrows. Yi Yunji looked very similar to Yi Yu and also had a red mole between her eyebrows. But compared to Yi Yunji, who was soft on the outside but hard on the inside, Yi Yu was colder, more beautiful, and more charming. Who is she to you? Actually, Lu Yunfei felt that Yi Yu looked familiar at first glance. Hearing him say this, she immediately thought of the beloved pet of the bloodthirsty sect's ancestor, the cat-like beauty that she received as a mission reward. She is my only family, Yi Yu said without hesitation. Aren't you afraid that I'll send this news back to bloodthirsty sect? Lu Yunfei didn't know if Yi Yu was naive or stupid to directly tell others his weakness. I am. Yi Yu's beautiful face reflected a deep shadow under the flickering candlelight, carrying endless bitterness. But I'm more afraid that she's dead. Lu Yunfei's pupils involuntarily shrank. An indescribable feeling welled up in her heart. She grew up in bloodthirsty sect and learned to drink blood before she learned to drink milk. Every day, she thought about how to steal cultivation resources, how to kill, and how to not be killed. The people around her were the same scum and scum. This was the first time she saw a fool like Yi Yu who valued family. This kind of fool was really hateful. Chapter 144. Lu Yunfei's nails pierced into her palm, but her face revealed an incomparably sweet smile as she said, All right, you help me deal with Su Junqing, and I'll help you find my sister. How are we going to contact each other? I'll come find you. Although Yi Yu made a deal with Lu Yunfei, he did not trust her. But I won't be staying here for long. Lu Yunfei pouted. Where are you going? Yi Yu asked. I'm going to the medicine refining valley. In 10 days, there will be an alchemy competition there. I'll see you then. Lu Yunfei smiled as if she was meeting her lover. Medicine refining valley, alchemy competition? Why are you going there? Yi Yu immediately asked. Hee, you'll know when the time comes. But the next time we meet, you'll be mine. Lu Yunfei's figure gradually disappeared in the air, leaving behind only a hint and a declaration in the empty study. Yi Yu furrowed his brows and carefully searched the study. Other than a few bottles of human blood in a secret compartment, there was nothing else. Lu Yunfei was also nowhere to be found. At this time, the quarrel outside was getting more and more intense. Yi Yu was worried that Wan Zieng could not withstand the pressure from Su Junqing, so he could only leave unwillingly. Yi Jiuge had been paying close attention to the movements in the study. When he saw Yi Yu come out, he blew the signal that he had agreed with Wan Zieng. Wan Zieng received the signal to retreat, so he coldly said to Su Junqing, Since young Master Su refuses to accept our investigation, we can only report this matter to the Emperor. After saying that, he waved his hand and said, "Retreat." Young Master Su, think about how to explain this to the emperor. Bai Songling pretentiously flicked his sleeves and swaggered away with Wanxing. Su Juanqing's eyes were filled with endless hatred as he watched them leave. If grandfather was still here, these guys would definitely not dare to be so arrogant. Su Juanqing couldn't help but take a deep breath when he thought of his grandfather who was still in a coma. After completing the task given to him by the ancestor, he would ask the ancestor for a favor and ask him to send someone to see what was going on with grandfather. However, this was all in the future. Right now, he had to deal with Lu Yunfei first. Su Juanqing calmed himself down and returned to the study. Lu Yunfei was currently reclining on a chair by the window. The moonlight cast a faint layer of light on her bewitching face. She held a glass cup filled with bright red blood in her fair and tender hand. She would take a sip from it from time to time, looking very satisfied. "Senior sister, I'm really sorry to have disturbed you. However, as you can see, junior brother's current situation is really difficult. Please help me out, senior sister." Su Juanqing looked at Lu Yunfei with deep affection. He could not wait for her to immediately take down Wan Ziang and the others. "I just heard something very interesting." Lu Yunfei stared at the spiritual blood in the glass cup and said indifferently, "I heard that junior apprentice brother Su Hansen wasn't killed by anyone, but was eaten by you to cultivate. Is this true?" "Absolutely not. No matter how bold I am, I wouldn't dare to do such a thing." Su Juanqing was shocked in his heart and repeatedly cried out his grievances. At that time, he was worried that the increase in his cultivation would arouse suspicion. Thus, he devoured Su Hansen to cultivate the bewitching art. As long as he did not use the bewitching art, no one would notice anything strange. "I don't care how Su Hansen died. However, if someone wants to use me as a chess piece, then they have to see if they have the ability to do so." Lu Yunfei swung her hand and the spiritual blood in the glass splashed onto Su Juanqing's face. The wet and sticky blood covered his face, but he did not dare to move. "Little fellow, you're still too inexperienced to fight with me." Lu Yunfei gracefully walked in front of Su Juanqing and used the glass cup to pat his face. She sneered, "Tomorrow, I will set off for the Medicinal Refinement Valley. If there is any mistake in the task given by the old ancestor, you can bring your head to see me." Su Juanqing bowed deeply and looked at Lu Yunfei's pink dress as it flashed past his eyes. Deep in his eyes, there was an unconcealable hatred. Outside the Su residence, after Yi Jiuge and Yi Yu met up, they secretly went to Wan Ziang and Bai Songling's residence. Bai Songling and the rest were already waiting inside. The moment they saw Yi Yu, they asked impatiently, "Yi Yu, you've been in there for so long. Did you find anything?" "I saw that female heretic cultivator called Lu Yunfei." Yi Yu told them about his conversation with Lu Yunfei. However, he did not mention anything about his sister and only said that Lu Yunfei would meet him at the Medicinal Refinement Valley. "Looks like their target this time is the alchemy competition. Brother Wan, I think you should find someone to inspect the Medicinal Refinement Valley, especially the places that the Crown Prince set up." When Yi Jiuge first heard that the Crown Prince was in charge of the alchemy competition, he felt that something was amiss. This alchemy competition is an annual event in the Thunder Country. Other than the people of the Thunder Country, there are alchemists from other countries participating. Isn't the Crown Prince afraid of being beaten to death by the Emperor for causing trouble in the Medicinal Refinement Valley? Bai Songling felt that the Crown Prince was not that stupid. It's always good to be careful. Yi Jiuge still had to bring Yi Rui to participate in the competition. He did not want to make any mistakes. "All right, I'll go check tomorrow." Wan Ziang nodded and looked at Yi Yu. "Do you want to come with me?" He had never seen that female heretic cultivator. If Yi Yu followed him, he would not be blinded. Yi Yu was about to agree when he felt a sharp pain on his back. It was as if something was gnawing at his skin. "Don't move." Yi Jiuge moved like lightning and pressed down on the thing that was moving around on Yi Yu's back. The thing was about the thickness of an index finger and it was struggling violently. Wan Ziang tore Yi Yu's clothes and found that it was a pitch-black poison earth dragon. It was constantly struggling under Yi Jiuge. Isn't this little mute's poison earth dragon? Why is it here? Bai Songling looked at the black worm in disgust. This poison earth dragon looked extremely ferocious and sinister. It had no eyes on its head, only a large mouth filled with fine white teeth. There were also 2 thin wings on its back. As long as Yi Jioge let go, it would immediately disappear without a trace. Whose little mute? Wan Ziang immediately frowned. He had been going out early and returning late recently. He had been investigating the heretic cultivator in the Ministry of Justice. He did not know that there was a little mute living in the backyard. Its young mistress who hired him to help raise the worm. Bai Songling explained little mute's background in detail. Can this person be trusted? Wan Ziang looked at the poison earth dragon that was constantly struggling in Yi Jioge's hands. This thing suddenly attacked Yu while they were having a secret discussion. No matter how he looked at it, it was not normal. If you don't trust him, then let's ask him face to face. Yi Jioge did not believe that little mute was a spy. Chapter 145. Yi Jioge jumped over the wall and entered little mute's courtyard. Yi Yu, Wan Ziang and Bai Songling followed behind her. Little mute, come out. Yi Jioge pinched the worm with his left hand and knocked on little mute's door with his right. The wooden door opened silently. Little mute's skinny body was hidden behind the door. Only half of his snow-white face could be seen. 2 big black eyes looked at everyone expressionlessly. In the deep night, it looked especially terrifying. Yi Jioge and Bai Songling were already used to little mute's weird look. This was the first time Wan Ziang and Yi Yu saw it, so they couldn't help but stare at little mute vigilantly. Little mute didn't even look at Wan Ziang and Yi Yu, the 2 outsiders. He extended his skinny little claw towards Yi Jioge and then raised a thin index finger, indicating that he wanted to exchange this poison earth dragon for a bottle of spirit beast pills. I'm not here to exchange. Yi Jioge pointed at Yi Yu and asked, why did this thing suddenly appear on my friend's body? Little mute's big black eyes swept across Yi Yu's body. Then he made a eating gesture. No one else understood, but Yi Jioge instantly understood little mute's meaning. You mean, this worm is eating something on my friend's body? Little mute nodded expressionlessly. What can be eaten on my body? Yi Yu couldn't help but scratch his back. Turn around and let me take a look. Yi Jioge asked Yi Yu to turn around. Then, he opened his spiritual eye and looked carefully. In the end, he found a few thin red lines on the depression of his shoulder blade. If one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't be able to see it. Looks like that Lu Yunfei left something on your body. Yi Jioge took out his thunderfire needle and picked out the red line on Yi Yu's back. That red line was actually a living creature. After leaving Yi Yu's body, it wanted to escape. However, it was forcefully sucked into the poison earth dragon in Yi Jioge's hand. What is this thing? Bai Songling looked at the poison earth dragon and then at Yi Yu's back. She had goosebumps all over her body. This is a small poisonous worm used for tracking. When it's not activated, it hides very well. Once it is activated, it can find you from thousands of miles away. Yi Jioge looked at Yi Yu and asked, didn't you feel it when she poisoned you? Yi Yu shook his head. At that time, he was only concerned with getting information out of Lu Yunfei and completely did not notice that Lu Yunfei had done something. Don't let your guard down just because she's a woman. Wan Ziang said lightly. Just now, when Yi was talking about that female heretic cultivator, his tone was very protective. It seemed that she was not an ordinary person. He thought that Yi Yu had been bewitched and was about to ask Yi Jioge for help. I was careless. Yi Yu could not help but lower his head. Just now, Lu Yunfei was all smiles, and he felt that she was a rare good person. Indeed, he had let his guard down a little. That Lu Yunfei's cultivation level is higher than yours, so it's normal that you didn't notice. Honestly speaking, when you came out just now, I also helped you to take a look, but I didn't notice anything strange. Yi Jioge's spiritual eye wasn't omnipotent. She began to think about whether it would be better to let them take a few poison detection pills when they went on missions in the future. Don't worry, you won't be able to find out. Don't we still have this little guy? Bai Songling looked at the poison earthworm in Yi Jioge's hand with fiery eyes, as if he was looking at a peerless treasure. You're right. Yi Jioga nodded. There were specializations in every field, and this kind of strange poison had to be dealt with by a professional poison earthworm. Little Mute, how many more of these poison earthworms do you have? We'll take them all. Yi Jioga said in a rich and overbearing manner. Little Mute directly extended a slap towards Yi Jioga. 5 bottles of spirit beast pills, didn't you just say 1 bottle for 1 dragon? Yi Jioga widened his eyes. This Little Mute's asking price was getting more and more ruthless. Little Mute expressionlessly made a few hand gestures. Bai Songling looked at the side anxiously, and could not help but ask Yi Jioga, what is this Little Mute saying? He said that there is only one condition, and that it's a rare commodity, take it or leave it. Yi Jioga only had 2 words in his heart. Originally, he thought that this Little Mute was an honest child, but he did not expect that he would actually raise the price. A bottle of spirit beast pills costs 500 silvers in the market, so 5 bottles for 2,500 silvers is not expensive. Wan Ziang actually nodded his head at the side. In his heart, anything that could be used to deal with heretic cultivators was priceless. Little Mute rarely shifted his gaze to Wan Ziang's face, and his black eyes revealed a rare trace of expression. Knowledgeable. Knowledgeable my ass. Yi Jioga really wanted to kick this scammer Wan Ziang out. Those spirit beast pills that cost 500 silvers per bottle on the market were all fake goods. How could they compare to the spirit beast pills she refined? Moreover, Little Mute originally only wanted 1 bottle, but now it had risen to 5 in the blink of an eye. If he grew his appetite, it would be very difficult to deal with him in the future. Whoever wants it can exchange with him yourself. Yi Jioga threw the poison earth dragon back into Little Mute's hands, and decided not to tolerate this bad habit of his. Give it to Yiyu. Wan Ziang did not know that Yi Jioga was being sarcastic, and decided to give it to Yiyu. After all, that worm just ran to Yiyu's body, and it could be considered as another form of recognition. Yiyu looked at Yi Jioga inquiringly. If you want it, then take it. Anyway, without her, no one would be able to get it. Then I won't stand on ceremony. Yiyu really wanted it. In the future, he still had to go to the bloodthirsty sect to save his sister, and this worm would undoubtedly be a good helper. Little Mute, since he has already decided to buy it, why don't you give this worm to him first? Bai Songling felt that since everyone was so familiar with each other, it would not be a problem to take the goods first. In the past, Yi Jioga often did this. Unexpectedly, Little Mute shook his head without hesitation. He only trusted Yi Jioga, and if others wanted to take the goods, they had to hand over the money. Then I will go buy spirit beast pills tomorrow morning to exchange. Although Yiyu also wanted to take the worm immediately, he still respected Little Mute's opinion. Brother, if I encounter any problems in the future, you have to lend it to me. Bai Songling hugged Yiyu's shoulder and said. Right now, he and Wan Ziang were catching heretic practitioners every day, so there might be a time when he would need Yiyu's help. Sure. Yiyu was still very generous to his own people. Yi Jioga chuckled as she looked at the people who were thinking too much, then turned around and went back to the Yi mansion to sleep. She slept all the way until noon. When she woke up to eat, she could not avoid being nagged by Mother Qing about her irregular work and rest schedule. Yi Jioga responded with a few words, then used the excuse of refining pills to hide in the pill refining room. Before she entered the door, she saw Yiyu's face peeking out from the shadow of the window. Why are you here? Yi Jioga opened the window and welcomed him in. Eldest miss, that Little Mute is suddenly unwilling to exchange again. Yiyu looked at Yi Jioga helplessly. Last night, they had clearly agreed on 5 bottles of spirit beast pills, but after that Little Mute smelled those spirit beast pills, he refused to exchange. They could not understand Little Mute's hand gestures, so they could only ask Yi Jioga for help. Chapter 146. Yi Jioga had already expected this situation. She took a bottle of spirit beast dawn and went to Little Mute's residence with Yiyu. At this time, Bai Songling was trying to communicate with Little Mute. I say, how can you go back on your words? We agreed to exchange 5 bottles of spirit beast dawn for insects. Even if you want to raise the price, you should at least give me a number first. Little Mute didn't even look at him. He picked up the basket filled with black flygrass and began to feed the poisonous earth dragons. This batch of poisonous earth dragons had already advanced once. The originally white and plump body now had a bit of jade-like luster. Its lifespan had also increased from 15 days to 2 months. He kept the best batch of insects to breed and cultivate the next generation. The rest were used to raise goo. The winged goo that ran out to hunt in the wild last night was raised just now. Bai Songling talked until his saliva was dry. Little Mute didn't even respond. He was so angry that his brain was heating up. He grabbed Little Mute's basket and shouted, "I'm talking to you." Little Mute looked up at Bai Songling. His wooden face didn't have any expression, but it inexplicably made people feel afraid. Yi Jioga happened to come in at this time. Seeing this situation, she immediately raised her eyebrows. "Brother Xiaobai, what do you mean by this? Are you trying to bully people?" "I don't dare to bully him. He's bullying me." Bai Songling awkwardly handed the basket to Little Mute. Little Mute took the basket and looked at Yi Jioga. "I heard you don't want to exchange with them?" Yi Jioga asked. Little Mute fanned his nose with his hand and gave a thumbs down to Bai Songling. "What do you mean?" Bai Songling was so angry that he stomped his feet. "He means that the spirit beast dawn you brought are fake." Yi Jioga translated. "Bullshit. This is refined by our 100 Herb Hall's level 3 pill refiner. How can it be fake?" Bai Songling angrily said. Selling fake pills was the most vicious slander to a pharmacy. No one could stand it. Little Mute didn't say anything. His eyes naturally revealed a look of disdain. "Actually, Brother Xiaobai isn't wrong. The pills he gave you are the best pills on the market. It's just that the pills you ate in the past were personally refined by me, so they aren't sold on the market." Yi Jioga returned the gesture that Little Mute gave her last night. "A bottle of spirit beast pills for a worm. Elder sister's medicinal pills are a rare commodity. It's up to you whether you want them or not." Little Mute furrowed his brows and his little face became a little conflicted. In fact, he also knew that what Yi Jioga said was true. The spirit beast pills that Bai Songling and the others brought were not bad, at least they were better than the ones he had secretly obtained before. After using the medicine personally refined by Yi Jioga, he didn't care about the others. Little Mute was straightforward and agreed right away. Yi Jioga did not make things difficult for him. He took out the spirit beast pills he had prepared and successfully exchanged them for that super worm goo. "How do I control this thing?" Yi Jioga asked. Little Mute's eyes lit up, and he stretched out his hand to ask for the spirit pill again. "Little friend, I'd advise you to be a bit more honest. You're still too inexperienced when it comes to raising prices." Yi Jioga smiled warmly. If Little Mute really wanted to play tricks on her, she wouldn't mind doing the same to him in the future. Little Mute wisely retracted his hand and pinched the goo worm. It was unknown how he communicated with that worm goo. That sinister poison earth dragon goo let out a squeak and flapped its wings to fly to Yiyu's hand. It bit his middle finger and then lay there motionlessly. It recognized me as its master. Yiyu raised his head in shock. After the little thing drank his blood, he felt that he had established a faint connection with it. "Little Mute, will this thing of yours have any backlash when it recognizes you as its master?" Bai Songling was a bit worried and felt that this thing was a bit strange. Little Mute gave Bai Songling a disdainful look and continued to feed the poison earth dragon with the little basket. "Zishang, will the thing he raised have any backlash?" Yi Jioga decided to ask his sugar daddy Zishang. After all, this Little Mute was personally appointed by him. "You're thinking too much. It doesn't have the ability to control these little worms right now." Zishang lazily replied. "Doesn't have it now? Does that mean it will have it in the future?" Yi Jioga asked vigilantly. The poison testing pills that noble consort Shi and Dongfang Ke were eating were all made from the poison earth dragons that Little Mute raised. If he could control these poison earth dragons, then wouldn't he be inviting a wolf into the house? It will probably be after eating this bottle of spirit beast pills you gave me." Zishang replied seriously. "Then can the thing he raised still be used?" Yi Jioga suddenly wanted to take back the bottle of spirit beast pills. "He can control those worms. Can't you control him?" Zishang's voice was a bit malicious. He deliberately brought this little guy over because he wanted to see if Yi Jioge would still say that he didn't want to be a slave leader after this little thing lost control. What is this little mute's background? Yi Jioge asked. You don't need to care about his background. You just need to know how to control him. Zi Shang directly gave Yi Jioge a ball of light. After Yi Jioge absorbed the ball of light, his gaze landed on the little mute who was playing with the poison earth dragon. She saw that he was wearing a blue cloth, the sleeves of his clothes were dirty, and his hair was tied up messily. He didn't touch any of the new clothes that Bai Songling gave him. It was as if he had grown fond of his dusty appearance, including the name Little Mute. Originally, Yi Jioge felt that calling him Little Mute was a bit insulting. He wanted to change the name but was rejected by Little Mute. It seemed like he had to investigate Little Mute's background when he had the chance to see what his real body was. However, the most important thing now was the evil cultivator and the alchemy competition. Where is Brother Wan? Yi Jioge asked Yi Yu. He is still in the Ministry of Justice and is preparing to bring people to the medicine refining valley. I will meet up with him later. Yi Yu replied. If he wasn't delayed by Little Mute's matter, he was also preparing to leave now. Take these 2 bottles of pills and give one to Brother Wan. Be careful and don't fall for the poisonous beauty's bewitchment. Yi Jioge took out 2 bottles of level 3 clear heart pills. Yi Yu suddenly felt a bit ashamed. Lu Yunfei's bewitchment was indeed powerful. Otherwise, he wouldn't have such a good impression of her. He had to be more vigilant next time. The participants of the competition have already left for the medicine refining valley. When are you going to leave? Bai Songling asked Yi Jioge. The day after tomorrow. Yi Yuxuan had originally set the date for Yi Jioge to leave in 3 days, but she rejected it. Do you want to go with Prince Dongling? Bai Songling asked again. No need. Yi Jioge shook her head. Yi Shanshan had already left with the crown prince yesterday. It would be too conspicuous if she left with Prince Dongling. All right, I will bring some secret guards to protect you. Bai Songling said. Whatever. Although Yi Jioge didn't think it was necessary, she couldn't refuse the kindness of others. Hee, if there is really someone who doesn't have eyes, we can catch him for clues. Bai Songling smiled treacherously. Don't jinx it. Yi Jioge really wanted to kick Bai Songling. Was he protecting her or using her as a bait? Yi Jioge and Bai Songling talked casually. Neither of them noticed that Little Mute's eyes flashed when he heard the name of the medicine refining valley. Chapter 147. Yi Jioge returned to Purple Forest Park and began to prepare for the trip to Medicine Refinement Valley. Although the competition would only be held for 3 days, they had to stay for at least 7 days. The things that Mother Qing had prepared were enough to fill up a large carriage to ensure that their eldest miss could live comfortably outside. Yi Jioge looked at the large pile of things and couldn't help but sigh. It would be great if she had a storage bag. However, storage bags were too expensive and couldn't be bought in Thunder Country. She had to go to Great Spiritual City. It was said that one needed spirit coins to buy a storage bag and gold was useless. With her current cultivation, she didn't even need to think about it. Other than daily necessities, Yi Jioge also packed the small bronze cauldron and the fat black rat. Ever since the fat black rat returned from the deep pool, it had been sullen. It burrowed into Yi Jioge's pocket and continued to pretend to be depressed. Yi Jioge felt guilty and decided that he would make it up to the fat black rat in the future. On the day of departure, Yi Yuxuan personally came to send them off. Su Yufeng used the excuse that she wasn't feeling well and did not come out. Although Yi Yuxuan was unhappy with Yi Jioge, he treated Yi Rui well. For Yi Rui's sake, he sent 10 guards with a spirit practitioner surnamed Pan to escort them. Yi Jioge and the group set off in the morning and arrived at Medicine Refinement Valley at dusk. Medicine Refinement Valley was located on a flat ground between 2 small mountains. The imperial family had specially funded the construction of Medicine Refinement City and assigned people to manage it. Yi Jioge looked out the small window of the carriage. He saw a magnificent castle spanning between the mountain ridges. The gray city walls were 300 to 400 feet tall, and as far as the eye could see, there were many tall buildings. Big sister, why did the emperor build this castle here? Yirui asked curiously. I heard that behind Medicine Refinement Valley is a third-rank spiritual land filled with all kinds of precious spiritual herbs. That's why he built the castle here. Yijioga heard this from Bai Songling. Third-rank spiritual lands were extremely rare in Thunder Country, and the imperial family naturally treasured them. Medicine Refinement Valley was rarely open to the public. Only during the alchemy competition would they welcome outsiders. Oh. Yirui nodded, not really understanding. The pills she could refine were all very low grade and did not understand how precious a spiritual land that could be guarded by a city was. Yijioga wanted to broaden Yirui's horizons, so he got off the carriage and held her hand as they walked into the Medicine Refinement Valley. Although it was already dusk, the city was still very lively. The streets were filled with shops selling medicinal ingredients, pill furnaces, and ores. There were also many outsiders who directly spread a piece of cloth on the ground and placed their goods on it. Dear customers, please don't miss this opportunity. The street stalls sold everything, including common spirit herbs, ores, and animal bones. There were even stalls selling stones and tree roots. The streets were crowded with people, many of whom were dressed strangely. It was obvious that they were from other countries. This was the first time Yirui had seen such a lively scene. She was so excited that her face turned red. She looked like she was itching to go shopping. Young miss, shall we go to the alchemy tower to settle down first? Team leader Pan asked respectfully. The participants of the alchemy competition were all staying in the alchemy tower prepared by the Dongfang family. There's no hurry. Yijioga also wanted to have a good stroll. She and Yirui shopped around a few shops and bought some ingredients for concocting pills before heading towards the medicine refining tower. When they passed by an old and shabby shop, Yijioga's heart suddenly moved and she couldn't help but stop. Go in. Zishang suddenly spoke. Is there a treasure inside? Yijioga was a little excited. She knew that this shop was strange. That's right. Moreover, it is a treasure that is very useful to this sovereign. If you don't move, then don't blame this sovereign for personally taking action. Zishang's voice carried a rare urgency. My king, please be more obedient. If Zishang really showed himself here, the entire alchemy city would probably go crazy. Big sister, what's wrong? Yirui lifted her head and asked in confusion. Come, let's go in and take a look. Yijioga pulled Yirui into the small shop. Because the shop was too small, Team leader Pan and the guards couldn't enter and could only guard the entrance. The guard was a white-haired skinny old man with a face full of wrinkles. He wore a dirty gray robe and didn't even lift his eyelids when he saw the guests enter. He continued to nap on the stool. Which treasure are you talking about? Yijioga opened her spiritual eye and carefully inspected the shop from top to bottom. The things here were a mess. There wasn't even the slightest bit of spiritual energy. She didn't know which was the treasure. It's under your feet, the stone used to pad the shelf. Zishang transmitted. Yijioga lowered her head and saw that there was indeed a square gray brick under the shelf. There was a thick layer of dust on top of it. It was as if it had already become one with the shelf. If one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't be able to see it. You call this a treasure? Yijioga was speechless. She didn't expect Zishang to have a hobby of collecting bricks. This isn't an ordinary brick. You wouldn't understand even if I told you. Hurry up and buy it. Zishang's tone was unquestionable. Yijioga felt that it was a little difficult. If she bought a brick for no reason, it might arouse the suspicion of the shop owner. At that time, he might treat it as a treasure and raise the price. The most common method was to buy a few good things and ask the shop owner to buy the brick. However, this shop was really shabby. It seemed like there wasn't anything valuable here. Big sister, what is this? Yirui pulled out a box of light green beads from a messy pile of miscellaneous items in the corner. Yijioga glanced at it and said, This is a wooden bead. It has a certain effect on wood spiritualists. However, the spirituality inside has already been completely lost. Is that so? I think it's pretty. Yirui held the wooden bead and looked like she couldn't bear to let it go. Yijioga suddenly had an idea. If she bought a brick, it would arouse suspicion. However, if it was a child like Yirui, it might not necessarily be the case. After all children have the right to be willful. Yi Jioga was just about to ask Yurui to buy a brick for him when he realized that his body suddenly couldn't move. Why go through so much trouble? Zi Shang was a little impatient. He directly controlled Yi Jioga's body and pulled out the brick from under the shelf. He threw it on the table and said coldly, "Name your price." The messy old man slowly opened his droopy eyelids. His muddy old eyes glanced at the gray brick. He stretched out his palm and said slowly, 5,000 taels of silver. Before Yi Jioga could say anything, Yurui's eyes widened in shock. What? You want 5,000 taels of silver for a broken brick? The old man shook his head and said unhurriedly, "It's not silver, it's gold." Yurui opened her mouth and looked at the old man in shock. She then turned to look at Yi Jioga with an expression that said, "You don't really want to buy it." Yi Jioga knew that this old man would ask for a sky-high price. However, she would be crazy to buy a brick with 5,000 taels of gold. Chapter 148. Zi Shang subconsciously wanted to kill this greedy old man but was stopped by Yi Jioga. Don't do anything stupid. There were so many people watching her come in. If the shop owner suddenly died, wouldn't that be telling everyone that he had something to do with it? You humans are so troublesome. Zi Shang was annoyed. The demon race would snatch whatever they wanted. Only the hypocritical human race would go around in circles. Give me back my body if you think it's troublesome. Yi Jioga roared in his mind. A problem that could have been easily solved was now complicated by him. No. Zi Shang decisively refused. Yi Jioga almost went crazy, but his consciousness was suppressed by Zi Shang. He couldn't return to normal no matter what. Yurui didn't notice Yi Jioga's abnormality. She rolled her eyes at the old man and said angrily, "I think you've gone crazy thinking about money. Big sister, let's go." With that, she grabbed Yi Jioga's hand. Zi Shang didn't want to leave without getting the brick. He avoided Yurui's hand and stared straight at the old man. "Old man, you have to be honest. You're selling a brick for 5,000 gold taels. Aren't you afraid of choking to death?" "That's not something you need to worry about," the old man slowly replied. He was able to establish himself in Alchemy City because he was ruthless and quick at robbing money. "Is that so?" Yi Jioga squinted his eyes. A purple vertical line appeared in his black pupils, flashing with a demonic light. The old man felt dizzy from this light and inexplicably felt guilty. He suddenly realized that it was intolerable for him to cheat the customer like this. He quickly stood up and said in fear and trepidation, "I was wrong. I shouldn't have been greedy for money. It's just a brick. If you want it, take it. Then I won't be polite." Yi Jioga's red lips curled up and his eyes returned to normal. Yi Jioga finally regained control of his body. He cursed Zi Shang's tyranny while reaching for the brick. At this time, Yi Shanshan's voice came from outside. "Captain Pan, why are you here?" This subordinate greets second young Mississippi. Captain Pan respectfully bowed. This subordinate has been ordered to escort first young Miss and fourth young Miss to Alchemy Valley. Big sister, fourth sister, is it really you? Yi Shanshan, who was wearing a blue dress, walked into the shop. Behind her was a young girl in a gorgeous golden dress. This girl was about 18 or 19 years old. She had fair skin and a beautiful face. She had an arrogant attitude. She looked at Yi Jioga with an unfriendly expression and coldly snorted, "You're Shanshan's big sister? Or you?" The corner of Yi Jioga's mouth twitched. Big sister Shanshan, this form of address really made him unhappy. "Big sister, this is the third daughter of the Gong family," Yi Shanshan introduced with a little pride. "So it's the third miss of the Gong family." Yi Jioga thought of Gong Shifan, who had helped her previously, and forced a smile at the third Mississippi. However, third Miss Gong snorted coldly and turned to Yi Shanshan. "Shanshan, is your elder sister very poor, so she can only come to this kind of shabby shop?" As he spoke, he glanced disdainfully at the small shop and Yi Jioga and Yi Rui. "You are the poor one." Yi Rui found that her beloved big sister was scolded, and immediately retorted back unhappily. "Fourth sister, don't be rude. Yi Shanshan reprimanded Yi Rui, and then apologetically said to the girl in the red dress, Miss Gong, my fourth sister was born of a concubine. She has not had a good upbringing since she was young. Please don't bother with her. When Yi Rui heard this, her face was immediately filled with anger. Yi Zhouge squeezed her little hand and said slowly, Fourth sister, don't be angry. Your second sister was born of a second concubine, so it is inevitable that her upbringing is a little poor. This time, it was Yi Shanshan's turn to look ugly. Yi Zhouge, as the elder sister, how can you slander your own sister like this? You really have no upbringing. Third Miss Gong raised her thin eyebrows and said with a tone full of sarcasm, What does it have to do with you if I teach my own sister a lesson? Or is it that the Gong family's upbringing to be a dog catching mice and meddling in other people's business? Yi Zhouge saw that Third Miss Gong had clearly come to find trouble with him, so he did not stand on ceremony with her. How dare you insult our Gong family? Third Miss Gong was so angry that her pretty face turned red, as if she had received a great humiliation. Wrong, I didn't insult your Gong family, I only insulted you. Yi Zhouge's poisonous tongue could not be stopped by anyone. Big sister, you're wrong. I think it is more suitable for Third Miss Gong to humiliate herself, Yi Rui said seriously. Little hussy, you dare to insult me? I will kill you. Third Miss Gong had never been humiliated like this in her life. She waved her hand and slapped Yi Rui's face. Yi Zhouge raised his hand and grabbed Third Miss Gong's hand. He said coldly, I will let you off this time for the sake of Spirit Master Gong Shifan. If you dare to make a move again, don't blame me for being impolite. You want to use the Gong family to suppress me? You think too highly of yourself. Third Miss Gong's body suddenly emitted a pale green light. It turned into a sharp wind blade and attacked Yi Zhouge's chest. Fortunately, Yi Zhouge was already prepared. He lifted his leg and kicked Third Miss Gong's abdomen. Third Miss Gong screamed and flew out. She lay on the ground in a sorry state. The wind blade did not hit Yi Zhouge, but it cut the beam of the shop. The old roof immediately collapsed. Yi Zhouge grabbed Yi Rui with one hand and the old man with the other. He finally rushed out of the house before it completely collapsed. Big Miss, are you okay? Hua Dai and Yu Dai immediately rushed over. Their faces were pale with fear. I am fine. Yi Zhouge shook his head. Big sister, you are too much. How can you treat Third Miss Gong like this? Yi Shanshan fiercely scolded Yi Zhouge. Then she eagerly went to help Third Miss Gong. Third Miss Gong stood up in a sorry state. She fiercely shook off Yi Shanshan's hand and said to Yi Zhouge, how dare you treat me like this? Our Gong family will not let you off. If you have the ability, fight me one-on-one. Don't drag your Gong family into this. Yi Zhouge was not afraid of Third Miss Gong's threat. No matter how powerful she was in the Gong family, she could not be more respected than the first grandson, Gong Baiyu. As long as Yi Zhouge grasped the method to cure Gong Baiyu's eye disease, the Gong family would probably force Third Miss Gong to apologize. Third Miss Gong's eyes were red. Her hand flashed with green light and she was about to make a move. Third Miss Gong, you can't. Yi Shanshan hurriedly stopped her and anxiously advised, you can't use force in Alchemy City. Otherwise, you will be disqualified. Although Yi Shanshan wished that she was the only one participating in the alchemy competition, if she did not stop Third Miss Gong, the Crown Prince would not let her off. Third Miss Gong fiercely glared at Yi Shanshan. Yi Shanshan's expression also turned ugly. Although she wanted to curry favor with the Gong family, being scolded by Third Miss Gong time and time again made her very angry. She did not want to stop her. Just as Third Miss Gong was about to make a move, a familiar voice suddenly sounded. Stop. Chapter 149. Yi Zhouge looked up and saw an old acquaintance, the Crown Prince, Dongfang Jianming, hurrying over with a group of guards. Big brother Crown Prince, you came at the right time. Yi Shanshan's spirit was lifted, and she hurriedly complained, Big sister bullied Third Miss Gong and even destroyed her shop. Yi Zhouge, do you think this is your Yi mansion? You actually dared to injure someone. The crown prince gloomily looked at the restored Yijioga. This beautiful face made him hate her even more than before. This isn't your highness East Palace. Yijioga was calm and elegant. The crown prince immediately ordered his guards, "You're twisting words and forcing logic. Men, arrest this troublemaker." Hua Dai and Yu Dai anxiously stood in front of Yijioga. Yijioga raised his brows. "Your highness, I'm here to participate in the alchemy competition. Don't you think you're being too arbitrary by arresting me without reason? The facts are clear and conclusive. There's no point in quibbling." The crown prince waved his hand. "Arrest Yijioga. If she dares to resist, then don't be polite with her." "Big sister." Yi Rui tightly grabbed Yijioga's sleeve with a pale face. "Don't be afraid. Although the crown prince is muddle-headed, there are still people in the city who understand." Yijioga calmly comforted her. "Big sister, how dare you say that the crown prince is muddle-headed? When I return, I must report this to father and have him punish you." Yi Shanshan wanted to continue framing Yijioga, but she was frightened by Yijioga's cold eyes. "Yi Shanshan, if I were you, I'd shut up or I won't have another chance in the future." Yijioga's tone was calm, but Shanshan knew that she wasn't joking. The fear of being beaten came back to her, and she could not help but hide behind the crown prince. The crown prince angrily said, "Yijioga, you dare to bully the weak in front of me? It seems that you don't put the imperial family in your eyes." Yijioga sneered. "If you're not representing the Gong clan, then you're representing the imperial family. Those who don't know would think that the Gong clan has no one left after the death of His Majesty. How dare you? Impudent!" Third Miss Gong and the crown prince flew into a rage at the same time, wishing they could personally capture Yijioga. At this time, the sound of uniform footsteps could be heard from the distance. It turned out to be the patrolling soldiers of Alchemy City. The person in the lead was dressed in black and red robes. His handsome face seemed to have been carved by a knife, and his temperament was incomparably cold. It was Wan Ziang. "Look, a reasonable person has come." Yijioga smiled. "Lord Wan, Yijioga robbed and injured people. You can't be thinking of shielding her, right?" The crown prince said coldly. "Yes, Lord Wan, I can testify," Yi Shanshan said while hiding behind the crown prince. Wan Ziang coldly looked at the crown prince and Yi Shanshan, then turned to ask Yijioga, "What is going on?" "Just now, when I accompanied my sister to shop, Miss Gong suddenly rushed in and spoke ill of me. She even destroyed someone else's shop." Before Yijioga could finish his words, third Miss Gong had already angrily denied it. "I didn't do anything. It was clearly you who wanted to steal my things, so you destroyed someone else's shop." This shop was destroyed by the wind spirit root. "Sir Wan, you can send someone to investigate," Yijioga said lightly. "Investigate?" Under Wan Ziang's command, the well-trained soldiers he brought with him began to search the ruins. Very quickly, they found a beam that was cut by the wind spirit root. The cut surface was still faintly green. A tall and skinny soldier came out and reported, "Sir, this shop was indeed destroyed by the wind spirit root. I have the lightning spirit root. May I ask what third Miss Gong's spirit root is?" Yijioga looked at the third Miss Gong with malicious intent. Some people wanted to distort the truth and push the blame onto themselves, but they didn't think that they were full of loopholes. "So what if I have the wind spirit root? It's just a broken shop. I'll pay for it. What about the matter of you injuring me?" Third Miss Gong's aura was still very arrogant. Before Yijioga could say anything, the surrounding people had already begun to discuss. "This Gong clan is too overbearing. So what if they're from a big clan? That's right. They dare to be so arrogant in our Alchemy City. Wouldn't they be overlords in their Baimu City? And that Yi Shanshan, she actually helped an outsider to deal with her own sister. She's really ruthless." The crown prince is also muddle-headed. He was blinded by beauty and actually dared to openly protect a criminal. If he was the host of the alchemy competition, then we wouldn't have to compete anymore. The surrounding people were discussing. Third Miss Gong's face turned red and white. She looked at Yijioga as if she wanted to tear him into pieces. "Don't cause trouble in Alchemy City. Your Highness, You also don't want this matter to reach the emperor's ears. Wan Zieng coldly looked at the crown prince. This was an alchemy competition. There was absolutely no room for mistakes. Even the crown prince didn't dare to act recklessly. The crown prince didn't dare to say anything else. He fiercely glared at Yijioga, then whispered a few words to Third Miss Gong. Third Miss Gong was obviously unconvinced. However, this was the Dongfang clan's territory. No matter how arrogant she was, she had to give the crown prince some face. Just you wait. Third Miss Gong threw down these harsh words and angrily left. Yi Shanshan hurriedly followed. Her fawning appearance was very disdainful. Shameless. Yi Rui disdainfully looked at Yi Shanshan's back as she left. She simply didn't want to admit that this person was her second sister. Say less. Yi Jioga patted Yi Rui's shoulder. Arguing with Yi Shanshan in front of outsiders would only make her a laughingstock. He would deal with her when they got back. Yi Rui bit her lips and didn't say anything. At this moment, the dizzy old man finally came back to his senses. Looking at the collapsed store, he immediately screamed. My store? Yi Jioga just remembered a very important question. Where was my brick? Big sister. Yi Rui pulled Yi Jioga's sleeve and touched the small embroidered backpack on her back. It was bulging and looked exactly like a brick. So smart. Yi Jioga rewarded her by rubbing her little head. Yi Rui smiled. This was 5,000 taels of gold. Of course, she had to keep it well. Captain Pan, stay here and help this old man count his things. Pay as much as he should, Yi Jioga instructed Captain Pan. Although this unexpected disaster was caused by Third Miss Gong, Yi Jioga still felt that he should give the old man some compensation for the brick. Yes. Captain Pan nodded respectfully. As a guard, he had failed to stop Third Miss Gong's attack on First Miss Gong. Now, he had to make up for his mistake. I will send you to the medicine refining building. Wan Zieng said to Yi Jioga. I won't delay your business, right? Yi Jioga looked at the soldiers behind Wan Zieng. No. Wan Zieng's status was equivalent to that of an imperial envoy. He could inspect everywhere. Then let's go. Yi Jioga and Wan Zieng walked in front. Yi Rui considerately followed behind Hua Dai and Yu Dai, giving Yi Jioga and Wan Zieng the opportunity to be alone. What is the background of that Third Miss Gong? Seeing that no one was approaching, Yi Jioga asked Wan Zieng in a low voice. Chapter 150. That third Miss name is Hongyu, but she's the daughter of a side branch of the Gong clan. She's always been in love with His Highness, so she must have heard some rumors to misunderstand you. Wan Zieng said. What rumors? Yi Jioga felt that his relationship with the prince was purely doctor-patient. What rumors could there be? For some reason, Wan Zieng sighed in relief after seeing Yi Jioga's confident attitude. Dongfang Ke had outstanding aptitude, a powerful background, and a handsome appearance. He'd always been the dream lover of the capital's girls. However, Yi Jioga didn't have any improper thoughts about him. It seemed that Dongfang Ke's plans were destined to fail. What rumors could there be? It's just second sister trying to sow discord, Yi Rui said with a taut face. Do you need my help? Wan Zieng also felt that the second miss had gone too far. It's fine, let her speak. The more she says now, the worse she'll die in the future. Yi Jioga smiled mockingly. Yi Shanshan was so close to the crown prince. She wouldn't even know how she would die in the future. Wan Zieng didn't mind Yi Jioga's business after seeing that he didn't need his help. Where's Songling? Didn't he say he'd escort you here? Wan Zieng looked around and asked in confusion. I don't know, I've never seen him before. Yi Jioga's journey had been smooth, so he didn't go looking for him. That shouldn't be. Wan Zieng found it strange. With Bai Songling's gossipy personality, he should have rushed out to save the damsel in distress after seeing Hongyu attack Yi Jioga. It's fine, I don't need his protection anyway. Alright, have you found Lu Yunfei yet? Yi Jioga was more concerned about the heretical cultivator's activities. Not yet. Wan Zieng shook his head. He was currently in charge of the city's defense while Yi Yu cooperated in secret. However, They still hadn't found any traces of Lu Yunfei. What about Su Junqing? Yi Jioge asked. He came under the Empress' orders to assist the Crown Prince in the alchemy competition. My people have been watching him, but they haven't found anything strange yet. Wan Ziang said. Keep an eye on them. If they have ulterior motives, they'll show up sooner or later. Yi Jioge said. You don't have to worry about these things. You just have to participate in the alchemy competition. As Wan Ziang spoke, he took out a yellow booklet from his sleeve and handed it to Yi Jioge. This is the name list for the alchemy competition. You can take a look when you have time. This was a benefit that belonged to the Thunder Nation's internal participants. The Crown Prince also had a copy. Thanks. Yi Jioge took it without hesitation. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated. If you don't take advantage of the situation, you will be a bastard. Oh, by the way, this year's quota has been cancelled. Everyone will have to start from the first round. I heard that Imperial Uncle Dongfang Yao requested this. Dongfang Yao was Alchemy City's city lord and Emperor Xian Wu's uncle. He was in charge of this year's alchemy competition. Yi Jioge didn't want to use the quota, so he wasn't disappointed. As the two of them spoke, they arrived at the entrance of the Medicine Refinement Tower. Your rooms are in the Flying Frost Tower to the west of the Alchemy Tower. The Crown Prince is in the Ling Yun Tower to the east. Gong Hongyu and Yi Shanshan are in the Maple Leaf Tower next to him. As long as you don't deliberately go there, you won't run into them. Wan Ziang still hoped that Yi Jioge could bear with it and not cause trouble during the competition. If people don't offend me, I won't offend them. If the Crown Prince and Gong Hongyu didn't have eyes, they couldn't blame her for being impolite. Wan Ziang knew Yi Jioge's temper very well. When he heard this, he could only smile helplessly. Then, he ordered a soldier beside him, call Aunt Chang over. A moment later, a middle-aged woman dressed in dark red armor walked out of the Medicine Refinement Tower with a warm smile. She bowed to Wan Ziang and said, This subordinate greets Lord Wan. Jioge, this is Aunt Chang in charge of the Medicine Refinement Tower. If you have any problems in the future, you can look for her. Wan Ziang implied that this Aunt Chang was one of his own. This servant greets young Lady Yi. Good luck to the young lady. Aunt Chang bowed respectfully to Yi Jioge. Aunt Chang is too polite. Yi Jioge smiled faintly. I still have matters to attend to, so I won't accompany you in. Aunt Chang, take good care of young Lady Yi. Wan Ziang gave Aunt Chang a few more instructions before leaving. Next, Aunt Chang personally brought Yi Jioge and the others to Flying Frost House. Along the way, she told them quite a bit about the Medicine Refinement Tower. The Medicine Refinement Tower occupied an area of more than 200 acres. There were a total of 88 small buildings. They were built according to north, south, east, and west around the Medicine Refinement Tower. The Medicine Refinement Tower was the venue for their upcoming competition. Currently, there were 53 alchemists residing in the Medicine Refinement Tower. There were 30 women and 23 men. Most of them were at the first rank. After Aunt Chang brought Yi Jioge and the others to Flying Frost House, she said, If young lady has no other instructions, this subordinate will take her leave. Sorry to trouble you, Aunt Chang. Yi Jioge glanced at Hua Dai. The little girl was very perceptive and stuffed a pouch into Aunt Chang's hands. Young miss, you're too kind. Aunt Chang declined verbally, but her hands quickly took the pouch with a greedy look on her face. After Yi Jioge had Hua Dai send Aunt Chang out, she began to examine the two-story building made of green bamboo in front of her. The front yard of the building was on the left, while the backyard was on the right. There was a clear distinction between them. However, what Yi Jioge was most satisfied with was the flying frost tree planted in the backyard. The azure leaves shone faintly under the sunlight, and they even carried a faint fragrance. There were 2 servant girls and 2 female servants in the Flying Frost House. Yi Jioge let Yu Dai, Hua Dai, Qing Hu, Qing Lu, and the servant girls and female servants live on the first floor. Leader Pan and the guards lived in the outer courtyard. She chose the room facing north on the second floor, and left the room facing south for Yi Rui. Why do you have such a long face? Don't you like it here? Yi Jioge asked Yi Rui. No, I just feel very angry when I think about how second elder sister helped that woman to bully you. Although Yi Rui already knew that second elder sister wasn't a good person, she still felt very upset when she saw it with her own eyes. You saw it too. It's not that easy for them to bully me. Yi Jioga poked Yi Rui's angry little face and said, "All right, give me the brick." Yi Rui obediently took out the brick and asked curiously, "Big sister, what kind of treasure is this? Why do you have to buy it?" Children shouldn't ask so many questions. You've been tired for the whole day. Hurry up and rest, or else you won't have the energy to participate in the competition. Yi Jioga didn't even know what kind of treasure this brick was, so how could he answer Yi Rui's question? Fortunately, Yi Rui wasn't very curious. Since Yi Jioga didn't want to say anything, she didn't continue asking. She turned around and returned to her room. Yi Jioga looked at the gray brick and impatiently called out to Zishang, "Hurry up and come out to see your treasure." Chapter 151. Zishang immediately revealed himself. His vertical pupils stared fixedly at the brick, his snake tail wagging nonstop. He didn't even bother to hug Yi Jioga. What kind of treasure is this? This was the first time Yi Jioga saw Zishang so excited. This is a form transformation bead. It disappeared after the demon war. I didn't expect it to be here. Zishang felt that his luck was off the charts. With this, he could completely transform into a human. If the form transformation bead is so precious, why would it be used as a brick to pad a shelf? Yi Jioga found it unbelievable. Who knows? Zishang didn't care about this. He wiped his palm on the brick and sucked out an azure blue bead that emitted a faint fragrance. Yi Jioga was attracted by the fragrance and couldn't help but swallow her saliva. She could feel that this was a good thing and would be very beneficial to her. Don't think about it. It's mine. If it was anything else, Zishang wouldn't mind giving it to her, but this form transformation bead was out of the question. I'm just taking a look. Yi Jioga didn't dare to snatch something from Zishang's mouth. I'm going into seclusion to cultivate. Be careful and don't get into trouble. Zishang swallowed the form transformation bead and returned to Yi Jioga's imprint. When are you coming out? Yi Jioga hurriedly asked. Unfortunately, Zishang didn't respond. It seemed like he was in deep sleep. F***ck, it's like this every time. Big sister curses you for failing to transform. Yi Jioga cursed inwardly. Following that, she had dinner and took care of some miscellaneous matters before returning to her room to flip through the yellow booklet Wan Xiang gave her. There was a detailed introduction of each contestant's situation, and even the address of their medicine refining tower was recorded. This batch of contestants, including her and Yi Shanshan, had a total of 6 second-rank pill refiners. Apart from Gong Hongyu from Baimu City, the names of the others were unfamiliar. She skimmed through the booklet and sat cross-legged on the bed to cultivate the manifestation technique. Ever since she collected the white bone fire, her cultivation speed was extremely fast. Even if she didn't cultivate her spiritual power, she could still circulate it slowly. However, the most impressive thing was her divine sense. In the past, it could only envelop a room at most. Now, it could extend outwards. She slowly released her divine sense to the next room and clearly saw Yi Rui sleeping soundly. Just as she was about to continue training her divine sense, suddenly, something with the smell of blood swept past her small building and flew towards the east. Her divine sense bounced back abruptly. Yi Jioga immediately opened his eyes. That cold and bloody aura just now was very strange and did not seem to belong to Su Junqing. Could it be Lu Yunfei? Yi Jioga hurriedly jumped out of the window and chased after that row of small buildings in the east. Unfortunately, after circling the inside and outside of the building, he could no longer find that strange aura. Other than the Crown Prince, Su Junqing, Yi Shanshan, and Gong Hongyu, she remembered that there were several other important people living here. Yi Jioga took out the yellow booklet again and started reading. She discovered that other than her, the other Tier 2 pill refiners were all living in the eastern building. Was it a coincidence or an accident? The more Yi Jioga thought about it, the more uneasy he became. He returned to his room and had a sleepless night. He got up before dawn to look for Aunt Chang. Aunt Chang, Was there any movement at the East Building last night? Yi Jioga asked. No, the guard on duty last night said it was very peaceful there. Did young Miss discover something? Auntie Chang quickly asked. If Yi Jioga discovered something and they did not know about it, then they would have failed in their duties. No, I was just casually asking. Yi Jioga shook his head and could not help but look towards the east. He saw that it was very quiet there. Other than the servants coming in and out, there was not a single pill refiner walking around. Everyone was focused on preparing for the competition tomorrow. Thinking about the competition tomorrow, Yi Jioga could only put down the questions in his heart and wholeheartedly prepare for the competition. The next day, the pill refining competition officially began. All the participants had to wait in the pill refining pavilion's hall to enter. Yi Jioga pulled Yi Rui to a corner and carefully observed the Tier 2 pill refiners participating in the competition. Gong Hongyu wore a red dress today and stood in the middle of the hall. She was very arrogant and looked at the others with disdain. It was as if she was saying that all of them were trash who were here to spar with her. Yi Shanshan wore a white dress and stood beside Gong Hongyu like a white lotus. She was very low-key. A young man with a head full of small braids and dressed in a black and red robe stood in the left corner. His eyes wandered around and he was very vigilant. A middle-aged woman with high cheekbones, a mean face, and thin wrinkles on the corners of her mouth stood in the right corner. She looked very aloof. A tall and sturdy man with short hair stood by the door. His eyes were sharp and his face was dark. Although he looked like a martial artist, he was 100% a second-rank pill refiner. As Yi Jioga was studying them, they were also sizing up each other to assess the gap between them. Yi Jioga's reputation as a trash had spread far and wide, so these alchemists did not put her in their eyes. Most of their attention was on Gong Hongyu and Yi Shanshan. Big sister, why hasn't the competition started yet? Yi Rui was a little tired from standing. Soon, just wait a little longer. Just as Yi Jioga finished speaking, 20 young men wearing green bamboo embroidered robes walked in from the back. These were the students of Alchemy City. They were responsible for all aspects of the competition. One of the students held a large green box in his hand and announced, "Honored guests, please come and draw lots. The number you draw will represent the room you will be using later." Yi Jioga drew number 36, while Yi Rui drew number 48. After drawing lots, the students stood in 2 rows and shouted in unison, "Greetings, Grandmaster Dongfeng." Tap tap tap. A gray-robed old man with messy hair and a wizened face walked in. This was the Thunder Nation's 5th-rank alchemist in charge of this competition, Dongfeng Yao. This old man's white hair was tied up with a piece of cloth. A few strands fell on his forehead. One side of his sleeves was long and the other short. One look and you could tell he was someone who didn't care about what the world thought of him. He had spent his entire life guarding Alchemy City and was widely recognized as a pill-refining madman. Every year, he would be the judge for the competition. He was a very fair person and everyone trusted him. Dongfeng Yao was a man of few words. He immediately rang the bell and announced the start of the competition. Yi Jioga's alchemy room was in the middle right corner with a simple layout. On the left was a second-grade alchemy cauldron while on the right were tools used to process ingredients. None of the alchemy rooms had roofs so that the judges could observe from above. Today's test is the heart-nourishing pill. Dongfeng Yao's voice echoed throughout the venue. Yi Jioga was startled when she heard the question. Chapter 152. Yi Jioga remembered that in the past alchemy competitions, the first 2 rounds were all about basic pills, and only in the last round would the more difficult pills appear. Who would have thought that they would use such a big move in the first round? No wonder the recommendation was cancelled. Gosh, how could it be the heart-nourishing pill? I've never practiced it before. Many examinees started wailing. The heart-nourishing pill was a rather unpopular pill. Coupled with the fact that the required herbs were rather complicated, very few people would refine this pill. Aside from experience, pill concoction also requires the ability to learn and comprehend. I will give you 3 sets of medicinal herbs and a pill formula. If you feel that you cannot concoct it, you can scram now, Dongfeng Yao said impatiently. In the past, he had always relied on the basic pills that alchemists often refined. Every time he appraised the pills, it would be difficult to determine which one was better, which made him feel very annoyed. Recently, he had been researching a new pill formula, so he was not in the mood to host this alchemy competition. Thus, he simply chose a pill that no one practiced often and eliminated most of the people first. A 5th-grade imperial alchemist was just that capricious. Although Yi Jioga had never refined the heart-nourishing pill before, she was not afraid of it. The heart-nourishing pill required 49 types of medicinal herbs to be concocted, and the apprentice brought over a large basket of medicinal herbs. Yi Jioga poured out the medicinal herbs from the basket and arranged them in the small bamboo basket. When she examined the heart-nourishing flower, her pupils suddenly contracted. The heart-nourishing flower was about the size of a thumb. It had pink petals and gray stamens. It was the main ingredient of the heart-nourishing pill. In this large bunch of heart-nourishing flowers, there were a dozen small flowers with black spots on their stamens. It was impossible to distinguish them from each other. However, Yi Jioga's eyesight was extraordinary. He could tell at a glance that this small flower with a black stamen was not a heart-nourishing flower, but a heart-devouring flower. Although the heart-devouring flower looked very similar to the heart-nourishing flower, its effects were the exact opposite. If it was refined as a heart-nourishing flower, it would become a highly toxic pill. Consuming it would result in a loss of spiritual energy, and in severe cases, death. Because they grew up in different environments, most people wouldn't make a mistake. Unless, the person who delivered the medicine made a mistake on purpose. Yi Jioga looked up at a tall and skinny apprentice in front of him. He was the one who had delivered the medicine. The apprentice happened to be peeking at her out of the corner of his eye. When their eyes met, he immediately turned his face away guiltily. Other than the crown prince, she couldn't think of anyone else who could instruct an apprentice to tamper with her herbs. If it was an alchemist who was not familiar with the heart-nourishing pill, he might really fall for it. But to Yi Jioga, it was a piece of cake. She didn't want to make it public, because it was useless to say it. The heart-devouring flower and the heart-nourishing flower looked very similar, so it was reasonable for the apprentices to say that they had made a mistake. Moreover, the selection of medicinal herbs was originally a part of the competition, so there was nothing to make a fuss about. After Yi Jioga picked out all the heart-devouring flowers, he went to check the alchemy furnace and indeed found a problem. There were a few small holes on the furnace, which would lower the grade of the pill. Yi Jioga didn't stand on ceremony this time and directly called the apprentice over to ask for a new alchemy furnace. In the referee room on the top floor. In addition to the main referee, Dongfang Yao, there were also 2 level 4 alchemists as assistant referees. The short and plump man was called Old Chen. The tall and thin man was called Elder Xiao. Both of them were elders of Alchemy City. In addition to the 3 referees, the crown prince, Dongfang Jianming, was also present. He was respectfully standing beside Dongfang Yao, accompanying him to observe the situation of the various alchemy rooms. Now that all the apprentices had started to concoct the medicinal herbs, Yi Jioga's movements immediately attracted Dongfang Yao's attention. "What's the matter with number 36? Dongfang Yao frowned and asked. "She said that there's a problem with the alchemy furnace and wants us to give her a new one." Dongfang Yao's head apprentice, Li Zijuan, quickly asked about the situation. "Didn't I ask you to inspect it carefully? How could there be a problem?" Dongfang Yao's sharp eyes swept over. This was because the alchemy competition's medicinal herbs and equipment were distributed uniformly. Thus, he was very strict about this. "This disciple has failed in his duty. Please punish me, master." Li Zijuan immediately bowed and apologized. "Uncle, this matter can't be blamed on Zijuan. That number 36 Yi Jioga is a famous troublemaker. Unless you give her the 30,000 gold cauldron, she won't be satisfied." The crown prince added oil to the fire. "Who is Yi Jioga?" Dongfang Yao was stunned. "She's Grandmaster Yun's granddaughter." Elder Chen added, "Isn't Grandmaster Yun's granddaughter trash? Why is she participating in the competition?" Although Dongfang Yao had been stationed in Alchemy City for many years, he had heard of Yi Jioga's reputation as a trash. "Uncle, You might not know, but Yi Jioga said that she had a fortuitous encounter. Not only did she recover her appearance and cultivation, she even became a second-rank alchemist. The Crown Prince pointed out with a smile. So there was such a thing. What kind of fortuitous encounter did she have? Elder Xiao asked with interest. Who knows? She said that she was able to recover her cultivation with a pill left behind by Grandmaster Yun in the unbounded abyss. I was just about to ask the Grandmasters if there really is a pill in this world that can allow someone with severed meridians to recover their cultivation and learn alchemy without a teacher? The Crown Prince exaggeratedly asked. If there really is such a pill, then this old man would like to see it for himself. Elder Xiao stroked his beard. He clearly didn't believe it. Elder Chen didn't say anything, but his chubby face was also filled with disapproval. The world is so big that nothing is too strange. Old man Yun has always been lucky, so it wouldn't be strange for him to leave behind some treasures for his bloodline. Dongfang Yao disapprovingly spoke. Although he didn't get along with Yun Tianwei in the past, ever since Yun Tianwei's disappearance, he felt more and more lonely without an opponent. Now that he heard someone questioning his opponent, it felt as if the person was questioning him. Uncle is right, I am ignorant and inexperienced. The Crown Prince didn't think that the imperial uncle would speak up for Yi Jioga. He originally wanted to pour dirty water on Yi Jioga, but he immediately swallowed it back down. Dongfang Yao carefully looked at Yi Jioga's pill concoction technique and nodded. Not bad, it seems like you have practiced quite a bit. Yi Jioga didn't know that she had already entered Dongfang Yao's eyes. She concentrated on processing the ingredients before starting the pill concoction. The heart-nourishing pill was difficult to concoct because there were too many ingredients. In order to completely fuse the medicinal liquid, one had to pay attention to the heat. One careless mistake could result in a waste pill, so one could only rely on the experience of an alchemist. However, Yi Jioga's spiritual sense had greatly increased after her breakthrough. The 49 ingredients inside the cauldron were all clearly visible to her. At this moment, most of the ingredients had already dissolved. Only the heart-nourishing flour was still a bit lacking. She increased the heat, and after the heart-nourishing flour had completely dissolved, she lowered the heat to simmer it slowly. She didn't stay idle while she was simmering. She used her spiritual sense to flip the medicinal liquid up and down, so that it was evenly heated. Just as the pill was about to be finished, a sudden change occurred. Chapter 153. The originally quiet earth fire suddenly surged, turning into raging flames that spread out. The medicine shelves closest to the furnace were all set on fire. The fire was about to reach Yi Jioga's face. Her fingers moved slightly, and a wisp of white flame quietly drilled into the source of the earth fire, swallowing it in one gulp. Yi Jioga waved her hand and the earth fire that lost its source disappeared, leaving behind a charred furnace. The commotion of the fire was too big. Even Yi Rui realized something was wrong. She ignored the student's obstruction and ran over, asking anxiously, "Big sister, are you okay?" "I'm fine. Why you here?" "Hurry up and go back to concoct pills," Yi Jioga said. "Big sister, why are you still concocting pills?" Yi Rui was so angry that her face turned red. She shouted at the student, "What are you guys doing? You can't even control the earth fire. What if someone gets burned?" When the people who were concocting pills heard Yi Rui's words, they couldn't help but move away from the earth fire. The heart-nourishing pill was already hard to concoct. Now that they were distracted, they basically became useless pills. They immediately complained about the earth fire. "What's going on?" Dongfang Yao had already rushed over from the referee's room when the earth fire went out of control. Behind him were Old Qin, Old Xiao, and the Crown Prince. "Master, the earth fire went out of control." Li Zijuan's expression was very ugly. The alchemy competition had been held for so many years, but this was the first time such a major mistake had occurred. Everyone else's earth fire is fine. Why did your earth fire go out of control? Did you do something you shouldn't have? The Crown Prince sneered, looking at Yi Jioga with malice. "If I knew how to make the earth fire go out of control, I would be the Crown Prince," Yi Jioga said sarcastically. "What do you mean by that? Are you saying that the earth fire went out of control because of the crown prince? Dongfang Yao asked directly. Uncle, I didn't, the crown prince quickly denied. There must be some misunderstanding here. Miss Yi, why don't you come to the referee's room with us? Old Shin saw that the situation was bad and quickly said, No, if there's anything, we'll have to make it clear here. Big sister just changed the alchemy furnace. Is there something wrong with that alchemy furnace? Yi Rui was small in stature, but she was full of vigor. She looked like she wanted to seek justice for her big sister. Yes, someone drilled a hole in that pill furnace. Yi Jioga nodded. She didn't want to say these things, but she was very angry when she lost control of the earth fire. It was one thing for the crown prince to tamper with the medicinal herbs and the cauldron, but to think that he even dared to touch the earth fire. If not for her white bone flame being able to devour flames, she might have been injured by this earth fire. Just as everyone was discussing this matter, Dongfang Yao coldly said, The path of alchemy is ever-changing, so accidents are very common. However, as an alchemist, you must abide by your heart. If you don't want to compete, then scram. As soon as he said that, no one dared to say anything else. They all retracted their heads and started to refine their pills again. Even though he had failed to concoct the pill just now, he still had 2 more chances. He couldn't afford to waste them. Fourth sister, Great Master Dongfang is right. If you want to advance on the path of alchemy, you have to get rid of external things. You should also go back. Yi Jioga patted Yi Rui's head. All right. Although Yi Rui was still a little unwilling, she still obediently returned to her alchemy room. Change her alchemy room and prepare 3 more sets of ingredients. Dongfang Yao ordered the disciples behind him. No need. Yi Jioga shook his head. What? You want to withdraw from the competition just because of a little setback? Dongfang Yao looked displeased. With just this little ability, you still have the face to say that you are Great Master Yun's granddaughter. The crown prince sneered from the side. I don't want to withdraw from the competition. Yi Jioga said with an innocent face. Then what do you want? Dongfang Yao frowned, thinking that Yi Jioga wanted to take the opportunity to make a rude request. I don't want to do anything. Yi Jioga inexplicably looked at Dongfang Yao and said, My heart-nourishing pill has already been refined. There is no need to prepare another alchemy room and ingredients. Isn't your pill useless? Dongfang Yao's surprised gaze fell on Yi Jioga's alchemy furnace. Who said it was useless? Yi Jioga opened the alchemy furnace that was burnt black. Inside the alchemy furnace lay 3 pink and lustrous pills, exuding a fragrant aura. She had just used her spiritual sense to wrap around the already formed heart-nourishing pill, so the pill was not affected by the out-of-control earth fire. Grade 1 heart-nourishing pill. Dongfang Yao could see the grade of this pill at a glance, and could not help but look at Yi Jioga with a bit of appreciation. Then I can rest now. Yi Jioga's expression was cold. Wait a moment, come with me first, I have something to ask you. Dongfang Yao turned and walked towards the tea room on the 2nd floor. Yi Jioga put away the heart-nourishing pill and followed Dongfang Yao upstairs. The crown prince fiercely looked at Yi Jioga's back, wishing that he could eat her alive. What does Great Master Dongfang want with me? Yi Jioga stood at the door and asked. Dongfang Yao was also a clever person. He did not invite Yi Jioga to sit down and directly asked, Girl, are you selling the spiritual fire in your body? Yi Jioga's pupils suddenly shrank. He did not think that even though he was so careful, he would still be able to detect the existence of the white bone fire. However, at this time, he absolutely could not admit it. Yi Jioga was just about to play dumb, when Dongfang Yao opened his mouth and said, It is useless for you to deny it. This old man has his own way to test it. The earth fire here is something that I have spent countless efforts to cultivate. You commanded the spiritual fire to swallow it. Shouldn't you give this old man an explanation? Yi Jioga was silent for a moment, then said, That is because you harmed me first. This time, it is indeed our dereliction of duty. This old man will definitely give you an explanation after investigating. Although Dongfang Yao was obsessed with cultivation, he was not a fool who did not know anything. Even if Dongfang Jianming is behind this, can you give me an explanation? Yi Jioge raised his eyebrows, his face was full of disbelief. Even if Dongfang Yan is behind this old man can still give you an explanation. Dongfang Yao was very domineering, he did not even put Xianwu Emperor Dongfang Yan in his eyes. Yi Jioge could see that Dongfang Yao was not lying to her. But even so, she could not sell the white bone fire to him. This is a different thing, I will give you 100 spirit coins to buy your spiritual fire, and I will also give you a wood pseudo-spiritual fire. If you have any other requests, as long as I can do it, I will agree. Dongfang Yao's price was very reasonable. 1 spirit coin was equivalent to 10,000 gold, but even gold could not be exchanged for spirit coins. Although the wood pseudo-spiritual fire was not a spiritual fire, it was still a very rare flame, and it was very suitable for Yi Jioge's current cultivation. The most important thing was the promise of Dongfang Yao, a rank 5 alchemist of the imperial family. If it was someone else, they would have been tempted, but unfortunately Yi Jioge could not sell it, he would die if he sold it. Chapter 154. Little girl, this price is already very reasonable. Don't push your luck. Dongfang Yao said with dissatisfaction. I'm not pushing my luck. I'm not selling. Yi Jioge said plainly. She had already integrated the white bone fire into her dantian. Digging it out was the same as opening a hole in her dantian. If you don't want to sell, then forget it. Dongfang Yao waved his hand in annoyance. If it was a small alchemist, he would have taken the spiritual fire even if he had to. However, Yi Jioge was Yun Tianwei's granddaughter, so he couldn't bring himself to do it. Seeing that Dongfang Yao was so easygoing, Yi Jioge felt a bit apologetic. After a moment of hesitation, she said, Actually, this spiritual fire is useless to you. What do you mean? Dongfang Yao asked in confusion. Yi Jioge raised his finger, and a wisp of white flame with a strange and serene aura appeared. The entire room became incomparably gloomy. Ghost fire. Are you crazy? You actually dared to store the ghost fire in your dantian. Dongfang Yao was shocked and looked at Yi Jioge as if he had seen a ghost. Ghost fire could only be used to refine yin pills, but spirit cultivators needed yang pills. Only evil cultivators and devil cultivators needed yin pills. Currently, there were very few yin pill recipes on the market. Even Dongfang Yao only had a few, so this ghost fire was useless. Yi Jioge smiled and didn't explain. She couldn't tell Dongfang Yao that she had a complete set of yin pill recipes. Little girl, you look soft but you're quite brave. You're worthy of being old man Yun's bloodline. Although Dongfang Yao felt that it was crazy for an alchemist to store a ghost fire, he still admired Yi Jioge's courage. Great Master Dongfang, do you know my grandfather? Do you know where he went before he disappeared? Yi Jioge immediately asked. Little girl, don't misunderstand. I'm not familiar with your grandfather. Dongfang Yao snorted arrogantly. Yi Jioge immediately became cold. Dongfang Yao was a bit annoyed by her attitude. He coldly snorted and said, Old man Yun left too suddenly. I only heard that he went to a secret realm to find some treasure. Treasure? Could her grandfather's disappearance be related to the treasure map? Although Yi Jioge was surprised, his expression did not change. He said calmly, Thank you for your guidance, Master Dongfang. Little girl, don't learn from old Yun and go searching for treasures. How could there be so many treasures in this world for you to find? Dongfang Yao muttered. Just as Yi Jioge was getting dizzy from Dongfang Yao's nagging, he heard a knock on the door. Li Zijuan said respectfully, Master, the competition is over. Dongfang Yao replied in a dignified manner before instructing Yi Jioge, Take your pills and leave. With that, he got up and left the room. Yi Jioge silently returned to the competition venue. There were a total of 52 participants in the alchemy competition, but only 6 level 2 alchemists succeeded in refining the heart-nourishing pill. The pills refined by the others were all useless. At this moment, the heart-nourishing pills refined by Yi Jioge and the others were lined up in front of the judge. Yi Jioge's heart-nourishing pill is the best, Dongfang Yao said directly. Her heart-nourishing pill is not bad, but I feel that Gong Hongyu and Yi Shanshan's pills are better, and their methods are more standard. Elder Xiao and Elder Chen had different opinions. Then Yi Jioga is the best, Gong Hongyu and Yi Shanshan are the best, and the other three are good, Dong Fengyao said decisively. Elder Chen and Elder Xiao nodded silently. After all, this was only the first round of the competition. There were still 2 more rounds to go. The Crown Prince disagreed. Uncle, the medicine testing segment hasn't started yet. It's too early to judge now. The medicine testing segment of the Thunder Nation's alchemy competition was to gather people who were willing to test the medicine. When the competition started, they would choose the most suitable patients based on the effects of the medicine. A medicine that could cure an illness was a good medicine, and a medicine that could kill a person was a bad one. In the previous alchemy competition, there were many examples of people being cured by the medicine, but no one had died from eating it. After all, the medicine that could advance to the next stage was of a good grade. Let the patients come in. Dong Fengyao instructed Li Zijuan. Yes. Li Zijuan nodded respectfully and ordered the apprentices to bring the patients in. Not long later, 6 people with pale faces and cyanosis on their lips walked in. It was obvious that they were patients with serious heart problems. The person in charge of testing the medicine for Yi Jioga was a handsome young man with dark skin and deep facial features. Although he was wearing the most commonly seen narrow sleeves of the Thunder Nation, Yi Jioga was certain that he wasn't from the Thunder Nation. When the other patients saw the medicine, they all revealed expressions of surprise, nervousness, excitement, fear, and worry. Only this young man's eyes were lowered, and he was strangely calm. Let's start testing the medicine. Li Zijuan instructed the apprentices to help the patients take the heart-nourishing pill. Gong Hongyu's patient was a slender young lady with a beautiful appearance. She clutched her chest and looked like a sickly beauty. After taking the heart-nourishing pill, her pale face gradually became rosy, and her slightly bent body straightened up. She seemed to be in high spirits, and her face was glowing as if she had taken the divine medicine. Heavens, my illness is completely cured. Thank you, Master, for saving my life. The lady immediately knelt on the ground and began to sob. From what I see, Gong Hongyu's medicine is the most outstanding. The Crown Prince nodded in satisfaction. Yi Jioga's eyes flashed with a trace of disdain. Although the heart-nourishing pill would have an obvious effect on the patient, this young lady's performance was a little too exaggerated. Either her illness wasn't as serious as it seemed, or she was a healthy person. With the Crown Prince's personality, it was possible that he would do such a thing in order to help Gong Hongyu win. Yi Shanshan didn't know how Yi Shanshan felt when she saw the Crown Prince helping Gong Hongyu. Yi Shanshan's patient was a skinny young man of 17 years old. His thin lips were deep purple, and he seemed to be having difficulty breathing. After taking the heart-nourishing pill, his breathing immediately became smoother. The purple on his lips faded and was replaced by a faint pink. He seemed to be much more energetic. He solemnly kowtowed 3 times to Yi Shanshan, thanking her for saving his life. The other patient's conditions also improved after taking the heart-nourishing pill. However, compared to Gong Hongyu's medicine, they were far inferior. Finally, only the young patient, Yi Jioga, was left. Eat it. The apprentice who helped the young man get the medicine was the one who gave the medicine to Yi Jioga. The young man fixed his eyes on the pill. His slightly dark handsome face revealed a determined expression. He took it and swallowed it. Because Yi Jioga's medicine was rated the best, everyone wanted to see the effect of her medicine. After taking the heart-nourishing pill, the young man's pale face gradually became rosy. His purple lips also returned to normal. Although it wasn't as exaggerated as Gong Hongyu's, the effect was not bad. At this point, the medicine testing segment was over. The Crown Prince was just about to suggest changing Gong Hongyu's medicine to the best when there was a sudden commotion among the people testing the medicine. The young man who took Yi Jioga's medicine staggered and rushed out. His expression was ferocious and painful. He opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something, but he suddenly spat out a mouthful of bright red blood and fell heavily to the ground. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.